What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 5MJ Chapter 101 Shanks is injured, please subscribe. A flash of light flashed in Usopp's eyes, and his bullet shot right along with the moment Saki swung his knife. Boom. Sage had just used a knife to seal Lucky Lou's bullet. When his knife passed by, Usopp's bullet had already hit his head. Sage rolled his eyes and fainted. Thatch. When Marco and others saw Saki fell to the ground, they immediately went crazy. Josie was like a huge wild boar and rushed directly towards Lucky Lou. Lucky Lou's gun hit Josie's diamond armor. Sparks flew everywhere, and in the blink of an eye, Josie rushed in front of him. Boom! Josie and Lucky Lou collided with a loud noise, and Lucky Lou began to wrestle with Josie. Lucky Lou was pushed back by Josie, leaving two streaks on the ground. Deep ravines. This Shanks' swordsmanship is probably no less than that of Hawkeye. I never thought that among the new generation of pirates, besides Hawkeye, there would be such a swordsman. Whitebeard couldn't help but admired Shanks as he watched the battle with Marco. Although Marco had the Phoenix Fruit, every time he was injured and recovered, he needed a lot of physical strength, and gradually he began to lose his strength. As for Thatch, Whitebeard could see that when the bullet came, he hardened his eyebrows. However, the bullet was covered with armament hockey, and Thatch fainted from the impact. The Red Hair pirates were not without losses. The man with the turban was also eliminated by Diki. The foil Beasta showed that the red-haired swordsmanship was amazing and Marco couldn't hold on anymore. So he went to support Marco with two rapiers in hand. Now Diki and Josie are facing off against the three Red Hair pirates. Because Diamond Josie is so popular and his defense is extremely strong, Usopp and Beckman have always focused on him. Lucky Lou was fighting with Dichi. The two fat men were fighting with great momentum. The sand on the entire beach flew up. The sand blocked everyone's sight. For a while, everyone could only see continuously flying sand. When the sand fell, everyone discovered that Lucky Lou had fallen to the ground. The foil Beasta swords had broken, and his left shoulder was injured. He had no choice but to withdraw from the battle. The sword in the hand of that red-haired boy is definitely a supremely fast sword. Whitebeard spoke more highly of the red-haired Shanks. Although Beasta's sword is not a famous sword, it has the blessing of armament hockey. Only the supreme sharp sword can achieve such power. Diki, I'm going to stop them. You go and help Captain Marco defeat the Red Hair, Diamond Josie shouted. Okay, then Captain Chowzi, you have to be careful, Dichi chuckled. Obviously he was also very worried about Chowzi's safety. After that, a grappling hook appeared in Teach's hand, and he ran towards Shanks. Although Usopp and Beckman also tried to knock Teach down, Teach was already on guard, and with Jose's protection, he finally broke into Mal. Within the battle circle between K and Red Hair. Captain Marco, I'm here to help you, Teach shouted, and he also joined Marco's fight. How can it be? Everyone let out a cry of surprise. As soon as Teach entered the red-haired left side, the hook in his hand grabbed Shanks directly. Although Shanks stabbed Teach with his sword, Teach's claw chest also fell. Caught Shanks on the face. Shanks covered his eyes and groaned, and then everyone saw that there were 3 scratches on Shanks' eyes. Fortunately, he tilted his head at the critical moment, otherwise his eyes would not have been saved. Shanks' eyes were sharp, and then his Conqueror's Haki was poured out towards the 3 of them without reservation. This kind of Conqueror's Haki. How is it possible? Whitebeard stood up in shock. This was the second time he had seen Conqueror's Haki of this intensity in his life. The first time was with Roger the Pirate King. Suddenly, he saw the shadow of Roger on Shanks. Is this your heritage, Roger? Whitebeard knew Shanks. Whitebeard and Roger were old rivals when Roger was proud of the sea. At that time, Shanks was still an intern. They had met several times. At that time, Shanks even told a red-nosed kid that he wanted to marry him. Head. Yes, that's Roger's straw hat. It seems you have chosen a great successor. Then Whitebeard noticed Shanks' straw hat. He originally thought that Shanks admired Roger, so he made the same straw hat as Roger. Now he found out yes, Shanks is wearing Roger's straw hat at the moment. With the release of Shanks' Haki, he dispatched all enemies in the blink of an eye. Whitebeard, now I am qualified to challenge you. Shanks put the straw hat on his head again. He was lowering his head now, and the blood from the corners of his eyes was dripping to the ground. Okay, I will fulfill your wish. Whitebeard let out a long laugh, then he took out his huge naginata from his side and jumped towards the beach. Shanks, I will grant your wish today, let's fight. Whitebeard stood on the beach holding a naginata and greeted Shanks' entire group. No, I'm enough on my own. Shanks waved his hand back, and Beckman and Usopp put away their guns. Okay, you have courage. I haven't seen a man with such courage in a long time. After Whitebeard smiled, the naginata in his hand was like cutting off Shanks' head. On his sword, there was a halo of light that looked very strange. Shock fruit. Levi's eyes narrowed slightly. Whitebeard is known as the strongest man in the world. A large part of the reason is because of this shock fruit. I don't know if it is Whitebeard who gave this shock fruit such a reputation, or because of it. This shock fruit turned Whitebeard into the strongest man in the world. Oh my god, the space is cracked. the little girls on Levi's boat exclaimed. The moment Whitebeard's sword was swung out, even the space began to crack. Whitebeard's blow was so powerful. Shock fruit. Shanks let out a whisper, and at the same time the sword in his hand began to shine brightly. After that, Shanks stabbed Whitebeard's naginata with the long sword in his hand. Chapter 102. The Red and White War. The Frightened Blackbeard. Please subscribe. A brilliant slash went towards Whitebeard. Although the space in front of Whitebeard was shattered, after Shanks's slash was broken up for most of it, the rest continued to move towards Whitebeard unabated. Shanks' swordsmanship seems to have improved a lot during this time. Looking at Shanks's slashes that ignored space, Levi couldn't help but sigh. After Shanks came to the New World, his swordsmanship also improved by leaps and bounds. No wonder he could rival the world's greatest swordsman. His strength was extraordinary. After the chop, Shanks held the griffin and stabbed Whitebeard with his sword. Whitebeard saw that Shanks was so brave, and his fighting spirit was also mobilized. The muscles on Whitebeard's left arm swelled up, and then his naginata also headed towards Shanks. Bang! The red-haired long sword clashed with Whitebeard's naginata, and a harsh sound of metal clashing was heard. At the moment when this sound came, many people on Whitebeard's ship were shocked and their eardrums were bleeding. They were in pain, rolling on the ground. Shanks and Whitebeard's attack was so powerful. Are you good at it, red-haired boy? At this moment, Whitebeard and Shanks' weapons are against each other, and they are wrestling. Unlike Whitebeard, who has tangled muscles, Shanks looks so thin, and his physical skills are not weak. At this moment, he is no match for 457 Whitebeard. Up and down. Whitebeard's right hand slowly left the naginata, and then he slammed his right hand into the space in front of him. Shanks's expression changed drastically. When Whitebeard just raised his hand, he felt a fatal danger, and he immediately ignored it. Take advantage of the victory to pursue, but retreat crazily. When Shanks retreated, the space in front of him shattered into pieces. He is worthy of being called the strongest man in the world. The intensity of this attack is really shocking. Levi looked at Whitebeard's space-shattering blow, and he found that none of his attacks could compare with Whitebeard's attack power. Where can you escape to? Whitebeard let out a long laugh, and then he inserted the naginata beside him. His hands seemed to be tearing a rag. As the muscles of his arms bulged, cracks began to appear in the space in front of him. Crush it for me. With Whitebeard's loud shout, the entire island began to break into small pieces. Usopp and Beckman saw that the situation was not good. They picked up Lucky Lou and others and fell to their big ship. Marco, Teach and others also withdrew to their ships. After they returned to the ship, the medical team bandaged them. They were all monsters with strong bodies. They only wrapped a few circles of bandages on their bodies and then sat there watching the battle between Whitebeard and Shanks. Hey, are you Marshall D. Teach? Teach heard someone calling him in a daze, and it turned out to be Levi. It's me. What's the matter? Teach smiled so harmlessly at this moment that it was impossible to tell that he was a careerist. Teach, is it really worth risking your life to find a devil fruit? Levi asked, looking at Teach in front of him. Teach's body trembled slightly, and he almost jumped up, but he firmly believed that his disguise was flawless, so he continued to pretend to be stupid and said, I don't understand what you were talking about. Looking at Teach, who looked confused in front of him, Levi also wanted to award him a statuette trophy. This guy is really good at acting. Levi looked at him with a half smile and said, Dark fruit, the most special fruit among logia. The body of the person who eats this devil fruit cannot be elementalized, but it can prevent the fruits of other people with abilities from inactivating. I don't know, am I right? The smile on Teach's face could no longer be maintained, and he showed a vicious look as if his face had changed. What on earth do you want to do? Why do you want to embarrass me for a big shot like you? Levi looked at Teach with interest. Since the death of Golden Lion, there has been no real pirate in the entire sea. In Levi's understanding, pirates must not only be cruel to others, but also be more cruel to themselves. Wolf. BFAA, obviously, Blackbeard is this kind of person. This guy dared to bet his whole life on the Whitebeard pirates for a devil fruit. Moreover, he has been disguising for more than 20 years, and no one can find out about him. His true identity was such that even after Blackbeard killed Thatch and escaped, Whitebeard still couldn't believe it was true. Dark fruit is my life's pursuit. A person with extraordinary talent like you won't understand, Blackbeard whispered to Levi. Levi could hear the madness in his tone, a desperate madness. What do you want from me here? Blackbeard asked fiercely. In his world, everything is related to interests. Since Levi has revealed his plan, he must get something from him. I just want to have a chat with you. I have no other intention. Relax, young man. Levi patted Nan-Chi on the shoulder and smiled at Teach. Teach also laughed along with Levi. At this moment, he resumed his role as a good old man and looked very harmless. But now Teach felt a chill. He thought his plan was perfect, but he didn't expect that Levi found out about it. They had never interacted with each other. He didn't know how Levi knew about it. How many other people knew about Levi? Teach felt that there was a huge fog surrounding him. He wanted to kill Levi to avoid future troubles, but he knew that he was no match for Levi, so he lowered his head again and looked at the battle in front of him. He revealed that an honest smile. At this moment, Whitebeard and Shanks are still tied for victory. Although Whitebeard's shock fruit can shatter the space, Shanks's sword skills are also very sharp, and the sword energy swings also cause Whitebeard a lot of trouble. Huge waves appeared from where they were fighting, and the entire Moby Dick was constantly shaking. If the waves were bigger, the ship would be in danger of being destroyed. Hey, let me tell you, you are just having a competition and that's it. There is no need to decide the winner. If you try to get off the boat will sink. Following Levi's loud shout, Shanks and Whitebeard simultaneously stopped. You were very good, red-haired kid. I admit that you are qualified to compete for world supremacy. Whitebeard smiled while holding his sword. Although the red hair was slightly inferior to the 3 Sea Emperors, his sharp swordsmanship made up for it. Thank you for the compliment. You are not bad at all. You are still so good at such an old age. Shanks also admired Whitebeard very much. Then the two looked at each other and laughed at the same time. Chapter 103 Return to the Fishmen Island. Please customize, please order in full. Captain, there are many pirate groups following us sneakily. Do you want to sink them all? Lackey Lou's watchtower reported. Looks like a lot of people want your head, Levi joked to Shanks. A head worth 4 billion is of course valuable, the red-haired man said matter-of-factly. After the battle between Shanks and Whitebeard, many pirates were eyeing Shanks' head. After Shanks successfully challenged Whitebeard, this shows that Whitebeard has recognized that Shanks has the strength of the 4 emperors. When Shanks returns to his territory, he can recruit troops and strengthen his power. Shanks is now the weakest among the 4 emperors. If he can get Shanks' head now, he can become famous all over the world. Levi and Shanks also defeated dozens of pirate groups on the road, which finally brought this group of crazy pirates to restrain. Captain, Shanks is right in front of us. Why haven't we attacked yet? We must seize the opportunity. A seaman persuaded his captain. Go away, don't take Lousy with you if you want. Do you know who owns the ship next to the red-hair pirates? The pirate captain pointed at him and said. That belongs to the great pirate Levi who has a bounty of 5 billion Baileys. Boat. What? The one who robbed the heavenly gold and made a big fuss in Malavondo. The pirate was obviously a little embarrassed when he spoke. He was also from the Grand Line, so he naturally knew Levi. Retreat. Levi is here just like 4 emperors. We have no chance. The pirate captain glanced at Levi's golden ship bitterly and forgot about the limit. Although pirates are extremely vicious, they are more capable of adapting to the changing circumstances. In the New World, in addition to possessing heaven-defying strength, pirates without wings have long been eliminated. Watching the pirate ships leaving one after another, Shanks smiled and joked. It seems that your name of Levi is still very useful. Levi laughed too. Ding! A new check-in task has been released. Please host stay at the Fishmen Island for a full day. The task reward is the top observation hockey. MMP. Levi couldn't help but cursed in his heart. He had passed by the Fishmen Island several times and never saw the system give him a reward. Now he was in New World and asked him to sign in at the Fishmen Island. Shanks, your territory is just ahead, so I'll send you here. I still have an urgent matter to deal with. Levi stood up and said to Shanks. Shanks saw that Levi didn't look too good, and something obviously happened, so he didn't try to save Levi, and Levi returned to his ship. Enel, set off for the Fishmen Island, Levi said to Enel. Monet, who was playing with Sugar nearby, stood up after hearing this. She hesitated and said to Levi. Boss, the Fishmen Island may not be convenient to access recently. What happened? Lee asked with a frown. Levi remembered that although the Fishmen Island is located underwater, the port trade has always been prosperous. Now that it is inconvenient to enter and exit, something must have happened. Princess Odahime of the Fishmen Island is dead, Monet said. What? How is this possible? Levi was shocked. He thought of the delicate woman with golden wavy hair, and he also thought of Princess Odahime's shocking speech. Levi had already warned Jinbei when he left, but it seemed that Jinbei still ignored him. Relying on the outstanding capabilities of this large ship, Levi soon arrived at the Fishmen Island. At this moment, there was a turbulent situation in the Fishmen Island, and countless fishmen began to attack human merchant ships. After Odahime's death, all her efforts were in vain, and the fishmen's hatred towards humans deepened. Jinbei, I already warned you when I left, why does this happen again? Levi asked Jinbei in front of him. At this time, Jinbei was full of pain, and he blamed himself. I have been vigilant, but during a change of defense, Princess Odahime was hit by a slave-catching fork falling from the sky. I am very sure that the surrounding there was no place where the assassin could hide. Any clues? Levi asked. Princess Shirahoshi said she saw the assassin wrapped in bubbles. Only humans on the Fishmen Island are wrapped in bubbles, so. Levi sneered. So you just arbitrarily thought that it was a human being who did it, couldn't it be a fishman with esper abilities who ate the devil fruit? Please give me flowers. Jinbei was stunned, and he subconsciously followed common sense and entered a misunderstanding. Take me to King Neptune. Jinbei is indeed capable. Under his leadership, Levi met King Neptune without any hindrance. Ding! It is detected that the host task is completed, and the rewards will be distributed now. The moment Levi entered the palace hall, his observation hockey had already reached its highest level. Jinbei, didn't you say that someone knows where the murderer is? But why did you bring in a human being? When Neptune saw Jinbei bringing in a human being, he immediately shouted angrily. Humans, get off the Fishman Island, a great white shark guard shouted angrily at Levi. Get out! The Murlocs in the entire hall became angry. Levi's observation hockey had awakened. At this moment, he could hear the voices in everyone's hearts. Except for one who was gloating about his misfortune, the other Murlocs were really angry. It's so noisy. Levi's Conqueror's hockey swept out, and except for Jinbei, Neptune and the White Shark Man, all the other fishmen fell down. Master Levi, why is it you? Neptune suddenly trembled, and he realized that the person coming was Levi, a big pirate with a bounty of 5 billion. He has the power to easily destroy the Fishman Island. Don't offend easily. I'm here to catch the murderer of Princess Odahime. Levi's expression softened. Really, brother, can you really find the murderer of my mother? An oversized fishman Lolita with pink hair ran in. Shirahoshi, this is Master Levi, don't shout. Neptune was shocked. He hurriedly protected Shirahoshi behind him and smiled at Levi. This is my daughter Shirahoshi. She is young. Please, adults should not be as knowledgeable as children. Shirahoshi, you stay here, and you will see if the person I captured is the murderer. Levi comforted the large Lolita in front of him, and then he captured the shark man and said, boy, that target where is the target fruit user, Vander Daken X. Chapter 104 The Wonderful Use of Observation Hockey. Please subscribe. Master Levi, are you mistaken? His name is Hody Jones. He is our guard. He is not an enemy. Neptune was still kept in the dark by Hody Jones and was still saying good things for him. Idiot. This guy is an absolute racist, and he was the one who jointly assassinated Princess Odahime with Daken X. Otherwise, do you really think that these few words were so coincidental that the Fishman guards were assassinated just after they left Princess Odahime? Levi scolded Neptune. How do you know this? Although Jinbei's tone was very polite, Levi could tell that he didn't believe what Levi said. My observation hockey told me that no matter what he thinks in his mind, he cannot escape my observation hockey. Levi's words immediately shocked everyone. I never thought you could see other people's inner thoughts as clearly as the princess. Jinbei was even more amazed at Levi's strength. He heard a rumor above the sea that observation hockey had reached the highest level of cultivation. When you are in the realm, you can not only peek into other people's inner thoughts, but also listen to the voices of all things. It turns out to be in the coral forest. Levi laughed. You are such a monster, Hody Jones said in shock. He is just a frog in the well on the Fishman Island, and he has never heard of Levi's amazing skills. Jones, the princess is not kind to you. Why do you want to assassinate the princess? At this moment, Jinbei was extremely angry. This was his younger brother. Although he admired Arlong very much, Jinbei believed that his nature was still good. He never expected that he would do the stupid thing of assassinating the princess with an outsider. I hurt you, Princess Odahime. Jinbei lay on the ground crying. He finally knew what Levi meant when he left last time, but it was too late. I'm going to catch the murderer of the princess first. Just wait for me. After Levi finished speaking, he was ready to catch Daken X. Mr. Levi, wait for me. I want to wash away the shame of the Fishman Island with my own hands. I also ask Levi to give me a chance. Jinbei bowed deeply to Levi. Okay, let's go together. Levi and Jinbei came to the coral jungle. The corals here are extremely dense and large. No wonder Daken X chose to hide here. Mr. Levi, this place is so big, how should we find it? Jinbei is also in trouble. This coral forest has existed for endless years when the Fishman Island was first established. Now the area here is several times larger than the Fishman Island, so many couples have trysts here, and so many villains hide here. Levi thrust his observation hockey forward, and in the blink of an eye he found Daken X. I found it, follow me. Levi took Jinbei towards the coral jungle. Boss, we have killed Princess Odahime, and now the Fishman Island is blocked. What should we do? The expressions of 10 of the human race's younger brothers were full of worry. Don't worry, we have an internal agent in the fish people, and if something happens, someone will notify us. Besides, I discovered a great secret, and I'm afraid the entire fish people will not have a chance to cause us trouble. Daken X laughed wildly. Daken X's full name is Vander Daken X, and he is the captain of the Flying Dutchman Pirates. This guy wears a small hat, has curly hair, and has many necklaces hanging on his body. The most peculiar thing is that this guy actually has 4 legs. What did you do, boss? One of his men asked. After I assassinated the princess, I even touched the mermaid princess. That little girl named Shirahoshi has a great background. Daken X laughed again. Maybe you won't have that chance. A deep voice suddenly appeared in his ear. Who are you? You dare to join our Flying Dutchman pirates? Are you really not afraid of death? A younger brother shouted. Idiot, that's the boss Jinbei of the Fishmen tribe. A pirate next to him gave the stupid green pirate a hard slap on the head. 5,000 pieces of Wajung fist. Jinbei dealt with these pirates mercilessly, and for a moment, the entire pirate group was flying around. Jinbei is worthy of being the #1 master of the fishmen. No one in this pirate group can withstand a single move from him, and even Hiyashi was knocked unconscious by him. This is the man who killed the princess and sent a love letter to my daughter. Neptune looked very unkind. Yes, this guy is a Paramecia devil fruit user. As long as he is touched by his hand, no matter where he is in the world, he will not be able to escape the attack of the user. Levi briefly introduced them to them. Let's talk about the function of target fruit. The current Dakin Ix is just at the stage of sending love letters and has not yet developed to throwing weapons to force Shirahoshi into the hard-shell tower. Jones, what else do you have to say now? Neptune shouted loudly at the Tide Hody Jones. Why? As long as I can remember, humans have slaughtered us fishmen and sold us as slaves. We are also a member of the world government. Why do we need to pay heavenly gold every year but the government turns a blind eye to us? Hody Jones questioned Nipton angrily, leaving Nipton speechless. We are also one of the countries that is a member of world government. Why do we, the fish people, suffer discrimination from humans no matter where we go? The most bizarre thing is that we are a member country, but now we need the protection of Whitebeard. We are a serious member of world government. Our country now needs pirates to protect us. Isn't this a huge irony? Hody Jones laughed sadly. Jones, do you know what you are talking about? Jinbei interrupted. Just because of your prejudice, you killed Princess Odahime. What was wrong with her? Unless she dies, the fishmen will always have illusions. Brother Tiger is an example. He kindly saved those human slaves. In the end, it was not those humans who betrayed Brother Tiger, so that he would rather die than lose to humans. Dirty blood, Hody Jones sneered. The fish people can only rely on themselves and the mercy of humans to fight for so-called equality. That is really a huge irony. Hody Jones' words silenced all the fishmen. Levi sighed and left the palace of the fishmen. Now it was the family affairs of the fishmen, and he could no longer interfere. Chapter 105. Meeting Sanji by chance, please subscribe. Every time I see Sabodi Archipelago, I feel so beautiful, Levi exclaimed as he looked at the colorful Madara bubbles in front of him. He has been to many places, and only Big Mom's Cake Island can compare with Sabodi Archipelago. But the Kingdom of Talent looks dreamy, but it is all made by Big Mom using devil fruit. Although it looks dreamy, its craftsmanship the air is too heavy, far inferior to the ethereal spirit of Sabodi Archipelago. Levi, I'm here. Hancock was hesitant to make up his mind about Levi. What's wrong, Hancock? Levi asked. Hancock was greatly stimulated on Cake Island. After her battle with Smoothie, she spent the whole day practicing in seclusion in the lounge, looking very worried. Mother-in-law Gloriosa sent a message to me, saying that I would be a Shichibukai. Hancock finally told Levi the problem that had been bothering her for a long time. From a personal point of view, she doesn't want to be this Shichibukai at all. She is a pirate, and she is suddenly asked to obey the management of Marine, and even the command of celestial dragons. She is very disgusted with this behavior. But Gloriosa's mother-in-law told her that Marine has developed a technology that allows warships to safely pass through the calm belt. Although she did not say more, Hancock 15 people understood what she meant. The calm belt, which was originally a natural barrier, is no longer an obstacle. Marine may have the ability to pass through the calm belt. Kuja attacks. Then just be a Shichibukai. Levi smiled and touched Hancock's smooth cheek. But Hancock was in a dilemma. Hancock's political awareness was so low that Levi couldn't help but feel funny, so he told Hancock what Shichibukai was. Shichibukai nominally obeys Marine's orders, but in essence, Shichibukai still belong to pirates and can obey orders but not Yuki. Then Shichibukai, I agree. Hancock then turned from worry to joy. It happens to be not far away, I'll take you to Nine Snakes. So they set sail again and headed straight to Nine Snake Island. Is it Sister Hancock? Before Levi and the others marched, Calm Belt heard someone shouting from the other side. Levi took a closer look and saw that it was Hancock's sister, Sandersonia. Sister, Grandma Gloriosa asked me to wait for you here. Sandersonia also looked very happy. Sister, the Marine Vice Admiral is already waiting at Kuja Island. My mother-in-law said. Sadang Sonia paused and said, my mother-in-law said that Lord Levi is not suitable to meet Marine. Levi is my concubine, why can't he meet Marine? Hancock immediately exploded. This Shichibukai is not my concubine, let that old bone take it on his own. So everyone in Nine Snakes began to comfort Hancock again. Hancock, just stop here, I'll come find you when I'm done. So, under Hancock's reluctant eyes, Levi's ship drifted away. Boss, someone seems to be calling for help. Granu gently pulled Levi's sleeve and said to him. Su Tang, you heard it wrong, I didn't hear anyone calling for help. Levi smiled and touched Sugar's short hair. Sugar's body has not grown since she ate the childlike fruit, and her mind has not changed significantly. Maybe this is a side effect of the childlike fruit. Boss, if you listen carefully again, I really heard the voice of a child. Sugar still refused to give up. There are no children. How can there be children asking for help on the sea? Levi scoffed at Granu's statement, but he still couldn't resist Granu, so he used observation hockey to sense it. This perception didn't matter, it really made him discover that there were two people. There are really people. Levi was quite surprised and said that the route they were taking now had greatly deviated from the normal route. Under normal circumstances, no one would come at all. Boss, you were slapped in the face, are you ashamed? Perona floats around in the air and keeps making faces at Levi. What Levi found was a big man and a child. The big man was a disabled person. He didn't know how they got here. Hey, save us. The child was still waving his arms. If it weren't for Levi's powerful observation hockey, most people wouldn't be able to find their traces at all. Sanji, don't waste your energy. No one can hear you from so far away, the strong man said weakly to the child. Sanji, isn't the other one Tetsuo? Levi was also surprised. He didn't expect that the sea was so big that he could still see Tetsuo and Sanji. Since they met, it was fate, so Levi headed towards the desert island where they were. If I had known, I would have taken a bag of food. What's the use of holding a bag of gold and silver treasures on this desert island now? If I can survive this time, I will definitely go back to East Blue and open a restaurant. Now I wonder how pleasant it is to think that you can have enough to eat every day. Jeffu looked at his bag of gold and silver and smiled bitterly. Old man, that ship is coming. That ship is coming. Sanji shouted loudly to Jeffu. Really coming? Jeffu couldn't help but burst into tears. Tetsuo decided that he would leave the island even if the ship demanded all his treasure in return. Wow, this boat is so beautiful, Sanji exclaimed. Of course a ship made of gold is beautiful. Tetsuo was also surprised. As a pirate who had been working in the Grand Line for a year, he naturally knew that a big shot's ship was a golden ship. Jeffu, why is it you? Breed was surprised. He had dealt with Tetsuo when he was still at East Blue, but he never expected that Tetsuo would also come to Grand Line. Who are you, Breed? Why are you on this ship? Weren't you ambushed by the pirate hunter Eric? Zeph was also surprised. He and Breed became friends for a special reason. Before he came to the Grand Line, he heard that Breed was kidnapped by Cyclone Eric. He never expected that he would see him again at the Grand Line. And looking at this guy wearing gold and silver, he is obviously living a good life. How is it possible? I am now a member of the Jiwei Pirates. Breed held his head high and looked very accomplished. Zeph thanks Levi for saving his life. Zeph saluted Levi hurriedly. I have been out of shape for the past 2 days, so I have some water. The author is working hard to get back into shape. Chapter 106 The Second Meeting. Please subscribe, it's easy, don't be polite. Levi said to Jeffu. Boss, this old guy's cooking skills are very good, do you want to try it? Breed suggested to Levi. Levi knows what Breed means. Levi doesn't have a dedicated chef on the ship now, and the meals on the ship are now cooked by Baby 5 and Monet. Breed wants Jeffu to stay as well. Boss, you guys sit down first, I'm going to help Zeph. After Breed said that, he pulled Zeph towards the cabin. Old friend, I accept your offer, but I'm not going to continue working hard at Grand Line. I'm going to go back to East Blue to open a restaurant and live my life. As a veteran, Jeffu naturally recognized that Breed. The implication of his words is that if it was when he first went to sea, he might still join Levi's command, but now he just wants to return to East Blue. Zephu, isn't your dream to find the legendary Caib Lu? As long as you get on Master Levi's ship, you will definitely realize your dream. Breed advised him that Jeffu had been kind to him, and now he wanted to repay Jeffu. Don't try to persuade me anymore, I've already decided, but this is the first time I've seen such a luxurious kitchen. Hey, what's your name? Sutang smiled and handed an apple to Sanji. My name is Sanji. Sanji looked at the apple in front of him and swallowed, then he took a hard bite. It's so delicious. Sanji couldn't help but burst into tears. This was the most delicious thing he had eaten in a while. It's time for everyone to eat. With Breed's shout, Levi and others had a meal from a professional chef for the first time on the ship. Only then did Levi know that the legendary luminous cuisine really existed. Levi and others were left with a lingering taste in their mouths after eating. This was the most delicious meal they had ever eaten. Mr. Levi, I'm going back to East Blue. When you have time to come to East Blue, I'll treat you to dinner. At this moment, Jeffu changed into a chef's clothes and looked very energetic. At this moment, he was leaving. Tezzolo. Following Levi's voice, Tetzolo pulled out a large piece of ship plank from the side of the ship, and then smelted the ship plank into a large square. This ship is really made of gold. Seeing this scene, Sanji couldn't help but exclaimed. What do you mean? Jeffu narrowed his eyes. I want to become a shareholder. If your food is so delicious, I will definitely make a lot of money, so I will invest part of the principal first, and then I will share the interest every year. Levi and Jeffu explained. Okay, I'm lucky to be a shareholder. After that, Jeffu simply got off the boat. What an interesting person. Tetzolo exclaimed. Okay, now everyone is in a hurry to have a meeting. Following Levi's order, everyone came to the conference room again. Levi couldn't help but feel a little emotional when he looked at the dusty conference room. This is the second time he has used this conference room since the ship was built. Okay, now the second plenary meeting of the Levi family begins. With Monet's voice, the second meeting of the Levi family begins. At this moment, Monet is wearing a pair of back-frame glasses, looking like an intellectual beauty. She is taking notes with a notebook. Levi coughed lightly. Do you know why I don't take you to fight for dominance in the world, but I take your family to run around the world? Today I will tell you about my plan. As soon as Levi's words came out, everyone sat up straight. Levi was a very mysterious person in their eyes. Although he had the strength of the 4 emperors, he had never occupied a territory. Now Levi was finally going to reveal his plan to them. Most of you are the common people at the bottom of this world. Can you tell me what this world is like? Levi's eyes scanned each of their faces in turn. Tetsolo was born into a poor family. His father was an alcoholic. He was ostracized by his friends since he was a child. His father died when he was young. His mother hated his singing, so he ran away from home. Human traffickers, celestial dragons and various gangs are the cancer of this world, Tetsolo said, slamming the table. Later, he was caught by human traffickers. In this slave market, he met his true love, Stella. When he collected the money to buy her, Stella was bought by the celestial dragons and tortured to death. So he hates all slavers and celestial dragons. I feel that some bad pirates are the root cause of the turmoil in this world, Monet replied. Her hometown is Cayenne Island. When the pirates were trading op fruit, they massacred the entire island to prevent the news from leaking. Only the two sisters survived. Some governments are more hateful than pirates. Luo's eyes were filled with gloom. Luo was born in Frevens, a country known as the White Town. This country has pure white trees and ground due to the underground, uranium lead, minerals. However, the world government concealed the truth about platinum and lead poisoning, causing all residents of this country to suffer from platinum lead disease. Their hair and skin became whiter and whiter, and their lifespans became shorter and shorter. Later, neighboring countries were afraid that they would suffer from platinum lead disease. When the disease spread, they blocked all roads, causing all the residents of the country to be massacred. Luo's parents and sister all died in this disaster. To this day, Frevens remains in ruins. Okay, let's sum it up. Pirates, slave traders, inactive governments, and celestial dragons all do great harm to the world. Now the question is, what is the root cause of all these problems? Levi asked, How Jiao? Everyone was questioned. Although they had all been treated unfairly by this world, they had not considered the root cause of all these problems. Is it because Roger started the era of great pirates that the world has become so turbulent? Is it because of government inaction that this era has become so chaotic? Levi and his company raised two questions, but Luo and the others felt that these were not the root cause of the problem. Let me ask again, why can Roger make so many people willing to go to sea and become pirates with just one sentence? Levi asked again. It's because Roger put his entire life's wealth at the end of the Grand Line. As long as someone finds him, that person will have endless wealth and supreme fame. Monet's eyes lit up, so she answered an answer that everyone knew. Chapter 107 10-Year Plan. Please subscribe. Yes, it was because of Roger's words that countless people flocked to the sea. Tetsolo also agreed. Now the question comes again. Why do so many people call themselves pirates? There are many ways to obtain wealth, Levi said with a smile. Afterwards everyone became thoughtful. Baby 5, why did you become a pirate? Levi asked Baby 5, who was standing aside in a daze. Because becoming a pirate can keep you full, Baby 5 said matter-of-factly. Baby 5 has lived on an extremely poor island since she was a child. When she was young, she never had a full meal. Later, her mother could not feed her, so she abandoned her. When her mother abandoned her, she said something that she will always remember. If you don't want to be abandoned by others, you must become a useful person to others. This sentence affected her life, so Baby 5 became the only girl among the 100 people in the Doflamingo Reserve Army to pass. Yeah, it's because many people don't have enough to eat and they can't even guarantee their survival, so they go to sea and become pirates. Levi sighed. The fault is not with these pirates, but with the world. Levi's words suddenly made everyone feel like their worldview had collapsed. They had always attributed the evil to pirates or human traffickers. Levi's words made them completely understand that the reason why pirates are so rampant is because too many people don't have enough to eat. Boss, tell me your plan. Everyone became excited. World government and celestial dragons are both cancers in this world. There is something wrong with the system they formulated. Why should the descendants of kings remain kings, while the sons of paupers will always be paupers? Levi's powerful words were constantly recalled in the conference room, and everyone was savoring these words. Everyone, what I want to do is to overturn this world. As Levi finished speaking, everyone's expressions changed. It's interesting to think about being an enemy of the whole world. Enel laughed. This guy is a born destructor. He actually destroyed the entire Burka just out of boredom. This seems to be more interesting than becoming the Pirate King. Tetsolo also laughed. This process is very difficult, and many people will even die because, BFAA, our hostile forces will be beyond your imagination, celestial dragons, 5 elders, world government, marine, all the alliance countries and even the revolutionary army, Levi said calmly. I have nothing to lose, and I'm not afraid of anything now, Luo said, clenching his fists tightly. As long as you need me, boss, I will never leave, the baby expressed. You are our sister's savior. Wherever you are, our sisters are there, Monet said. Yeah. Sugar nodded beside him. You are really a bunch of devils. At this moment, Perona was so frightened that she burst into tears. Oh my god, she just wanted to get a few free meals with Levi. When Moria came to pick him up one day, she would leave with Moria. She is just an outsider. God knows why Levi called her here, but such confidential things have been heard. If she doesn't agree, she will be killed. Boss, I'm scared. Breed stood up tremblingly and said. Everyone gave this guy who ruined the atmosphere a hard look. Okay, let me lay out our battle plan, Levi said. Seeing that Levi didn't let her express her position, Perona breathed a sigh of relief, and then she became furious again. Could it be that since Perona stayed on this ship for so many days, she was not considered a member of this ship? But Perona didn't dare to shout out. I first formulated a plan for the next 10 years, which is divided into two parts, namely the first 5-year plan and the second 5-year plan. Levi glanced at it, and now everyone's eyes were shining. They were all listening to Levi's plan carefully. Levi nodded with satisfaction when he saw this. Let me talk about the first 5-year plan first. First of all, we must strengthen our own strength. Enel, Tetsolo, Baby 5 and Luo. Your devil fruit should ideally reach awakening within these 5 years. Luo and Baby 5 grade, you are still young, so you can slow down a little, but Enel and Tetsolo, you must reach awakening. Enel, you must continue to control Sky Island, and at the same time get the small Sky Island Visalia. This is a country that specializes in meteorology. This will also be our navigator base in the future. Tezolo, after you awaken the golden fruit, you will completely build the big ship that Tom designed. You will make this big ship into an entertainment country drifting on the sea. I want to make it becomes the most high-end entertainment destination in the world. Luo, your mission is to take control of the Drum Kingdom. It will be our future medical school, and our future doctors will all graduate from here. The king of the Drum Kingdom, Wapple, is a guy who only knows pleasure. If necessary, you can bribe Tezolo with gold directly from him. Baby 5, I will ask Tetsolo to send you to the Machine Island where Dr. Vegapunk stayed in the past, which is also called the future country Balkamoa. You need to enrich your horizons there. Your weapon fruits are not only it's so easy to turn into a power gun. Monet, your task is to summarize their progress every month and report to me afterwards. Of course, if there is anything they need to coordinate, you can also report directly to me. From today on, you will completely become my secretary. This is what you will do in 5 years, do you understand? Levi said to them. Understood. Everyone shouted loudly. Okay, now that everyone understands, let me talk about the second 5-year plan. Tezolo, it is very important that your entertainment city will be recognized by the world government and become an absolutely neutral place. At the same time, you must build playgrounds and arenas on every island to make your name spread throughout the world. Enel, Sky Island has many young people with good qualifications. You have to integrate them into an army that cannot fight. Luo, you continue to run your medical school, and at the same time you also look for members of your pirate group. By then you will also have the strength to fight Doflamingo, and it is time for you to take revenge. This is all about our plan. Tetsolo, you have the heaviest task. You can ask me for the plan later. So Levi's meeting was all convened and completed. Chapter 108. The Heart Pirates, please subscribe. Early the next morning, all Levi's cadres began to take action. Enel drove Proverbs towards Angel Island, and Tetsolo drove a gold ship and led a group of Lolita towards the Island of Machines. Girls in this world are very strange. They don't like Barbie dolls but like some steel. Behemoth, they heard that this island has very advanced technology, and they are all vying to go there. According to Baby 5's cute and silly character, Levi is afraid that Baby 5 will be tricked into becoming a bride on this island. Maybe when Levi sees Baby 5 again, her child will also become a soy sauce. So Levi asked Breed and Monet to go with Baby 5. With Breed's felistiness and Monet's shrewdness, they should be able to take care of Baby 5's safety. Okay, Luo, come and go to North Blue with me. So Levi and Luo sat on Zeus and floated towards North Blue. Levi, the journey is very long this time. You have to treat me to 10, no, 100 delicious meals of thunder and lightning. Zeus's words came from the sky. Levi looked at Zeus flying regardless of the terrain, and he couldn't help but think that maybe he should build a few more ships. After all, flying in the sky is much faster than drifting on the sea. Zeus is indeed a foodie with endless potential. With Levi's unlimited supply of lightning, he carried Levi and Luo to North Blue at night. Hey, Levi, it's evening. It's time for us to have dinner. I want to eat that delicious thunder. Seeing that the sky was getting darker, Zeus, a greedy guy, started to go on strike. Boss, I remember that there is an island called Swallow not far ahead. This island is also quite prosperous. Let's spend the night there tonight. Follow his previous memories and say to Levi. So, Zeus drooled and headed towards Swallow Island. Swallow Island is also a prosperous island in North Blue. At its port, there are many ships and the island is brightly lit. Obviously, this island also has a lot of entertainment activities at night. Zeus, find a remote place to stay and don't cause a commotion, Levi ordered Zeus. Kill this strange bear. As soon as they landed, they heard someone arguing. Sorry to disturb you. Then there was a sound of fists and kicks being thrown. Luo frowned and looked at the scene in front of him. 2 young men wearing peaked caps were beating a fat white bear. The white bear was constantly begging for mercy. The talking bear, the fur tribe from Zo Island, Luo thought with a frown. Room. Luo picked up a small stone and threw it forward. At the same time, the white bear came to Luo. Did you save me? Thank you. My name is Babo. The white bear kept bowing to Luo and thanked him. How dare you ruin our good deeds? I'll beat you to death. When the two young men saw Bebo suddenly coming to Luo, they knew it was Luo's hand, so they rushed towards Luo. Luo's ghost cry was unsheathed violently, and as he waved his hands repeatedly, the two young men were instantly torn into pieces. The two young men saw their bodies broken into pieces, and they kept screaming in fear. Bebo, are you a fur tribe from Zhou Island? Luo asked him. Looking at the tearful Bebo in front of him, Luo felt that the nerves in his heart were suddenly touched. Yes, I am a fur tribe from Zhou Island, but my brother Jiebo and I got separated. Bebo's mood suddenly dropped. Jabo, Nox pirates. Levi and Luo looked at each other. They didn't expect that the world was so small and they could meet acquaintances wherever they went. Are you from the Nox pirates? Luo asked Bebo. How do you know? Bebo suddenly raised his head. We met your brothers Jiebo and Pedro some time ago, Luo replied. Bebo's eyes suddenly lit up. You have met brother Pedro and my brother, are they okay now? Pedro is still alive. Your brother was killed by Big Mom. Luo hesitated for a moment. He finally told Xiaobo the truth. Oh, brother, Bebo cried into a ball on the ground. After a while, he wiped away his tears and said to Luo. You are a good man, can I follow you? Please give me flowers. No, I have very high requirements for my crew. Luo proudly rejected him. Bebo looked at him with tears in his little eyes. Really, then I still need a pet, so just follow me. Luo curled his lips and said to Bebo. Brother, my name is Sha-Chi and my name is Peijin, please accept us too, the two young men yelled. After a while, Luo had 3 followers. Luo, since you will form a pirate group to challenge Doflamingo sooner or later, why not establish a pirate group today? Levi said to Luo. Pirates? This is good, this is good. The eyes of the two young men suddenly lit up, and then a series of cool and awesome names popped out of their mouths. Shut up, everyone. Our pirate group is called the Heart Pirates. Luo's forehead had veins popping up. He was fed up with these two talkative guys. As for our pirate flag, Luo thought for a moment, so he drew a smiling face. This is the last smile of Rosinante, whom he respects most, and he has always pursued this smile. Captain, why doesn't our pirate flag use skull and crossbones? This seems very strange. Sha-Chi looked at the pirate flag carefully and said to Luo. Luo yelled. Shut up, everyone. Is this the prototype of the Hard Pirates? What a group of unexpectedly funny people, Levi thought to himself. Luo, your pirate group has just been established, and I don't have anything to give you. I'll just give you a pirate ship. What are your requirements for your ship? Levi asked Luo. As Luo was his doctor, Levi naturally had to give something to express his gratitude. I want a submarine. The one that can accommodate at least 20 people is best painted yellow. I need to think carefully about the shape of his pirate ship. A submarine? It's a rare ship type, Levi said. After that, he picked up the phone and contacted Bingshanes Batagu. He was Tom's eldest disciple and was also very strong in shipbuilding. He was asked to preside over the design and construction of Luo's submarine. Chapter 109 The First Battle of Hearts. Please subscribe. Sha-Chi and Peijin said that they wanted to be pirates, which was not just a matter of talk. Early the next morning, they found a small brig. Boss, what are we going to do next? Luo asked Levi. Although Levi assigned tasks to each of them, Luo didn't know what Levi wanted to do when he came to North Blue. Sha-Chi, who are the famous pirates in North Blue? Levi asked directly. There is a rumor among pirates that North Blue and South Blue are known as sea areas where geniuses are born, so Levi's first stop was North Blue. Although Enel and Tetsolo are very strong, if they want to be the enemy of the entire world, they are not enough. Levi still needs to discover and cultivate talents, so he came to North Blue first. If we want to talk about the most popular pirates, naturally after Doflamingo became the 7-1-4-3 Takakai, he recruited many pirates in North Blue to become his subordinates, and there were no older generations in the entire pirate world. Who is it? The only new star in North Blue now is Basil Hawkins, who is known as the Magician. Zhang Qi said after pondering for a moment. Yes, the pirate situation in North Blue is dominated by the Flamingo family. I'm afraid the current pirates can't defeat Germa 66. Pekin added at the side. Germa 66 is a force of the Vinsmoke family. It is also a country wandering on the sea. They are active as mercenaries all over the world. Their territory is composed of dozens of giant snails. The current leader of Germa, Vinsmoke Judge, is also the target of Levi's recruitment. Vinsmoke Judge's clone soldiers and his blood factor technology are what Levi needs. The future war will be a war that will affect the whole world. If the clone soldiers can be if we have the technology in our hands, then there will be an endless supply of troops in the future. Then let's go find Hawkins first. Levi decided to go to Hawkins first. After all, the kingdom of Germa is wandering all over the world. Who knows if they are still in North Blue now, so it is more reliable to go to Hawkins first. After all, Hawkins has been active in North Blue all year round. I will pick him up, it's relatively easy. Pekin, set sail and prepare to find Hawkins. Luo ordered his 2 men. Well, Captain, we don't know where Hawkins is. We are just delinquents at best, and we can't compare to a big pirate like Hawkins who has a bounty of 5 million Baileys. Pekin said with a bitter smile. Bebo, most navigator, where do you think we should go? Luo looked at Bebo. After seeing the chart drawn by Bebo yesterday, Luo finally believed that Bebo was really a navigator. Captain, I think we should go to sea first, and wait until we meet other pirate groups and then ask them for Hawkins' location. Bebo scratched his head and gave Luo a very constructive suggestion. Thus, the Heart Pirates also embarked on their first voyage. The pirate flag of the pirate group in front is so weird. Behind the Heart Pirates, a pirate ship appeared out of nowhere. At this moment, Luo and the others did not know that they had been targeted. They must be a group of rookies who just went to sea. You see, they're just driving a merchant ship. They don't even have cannons. Lousy likes this kind of people the most. A one-eyed bearded man with the captain laughed. Captain, there seems to be a pirate ship chasing after me, Pagan hurriedly reported to Luo. I'm afraid the person who came here is evil. Luo frowned. He was also someone who had walked on the Grand Line. He could feel that this pirate ship was full of malice. Boom. Cannonballs exploded in the small boat next to Luo, stirring up jets of water. The opponent's pirate ship opened fire on Luo's pirate ship after reaching the shooting range. Captain, across the way is the One-Eyed Pirates. Their leader, One-Eye, is a pirate with a bounty of 5 million Baileys. When the ship approached, Sha-Chi also saw clearly the flag of the pirates on the opposite side. Fight back. Use the cannon to fight back. Luo yelled at Pekin. Captain, we are just a merchant ship, there are no cannons, Pekin said anxiously. He did not expect that they would be targeted by other pirates as soon as they set out to sea. Levi looked at Luo who was busy in front of him and found it interesting. This was a necessary process for a pirate group to grow from rawness to maturity, so Levi did not intervene and everything was solved by Luo himself. Forget it, I'll do it myself, Luo sighed, and then he flew towards the pirate ship opposite. Fly, fly. Sha-Chi and Pei-Jin were so scared that their eyes popped out. Bebo, on the other hand, was very calm. He often saw this kind of situation on Zou Island, so he was not surprised. Room. The ghost cry rotated in Luo's hand, and then a large space enveloped the one-eyed pirates. Why are you attacking my ship? Luo's voice suddenly appeared on the pirate ship. Why are there so many? Call me. One-Eye let out a ferocious laugh, and then he took out the short gun on his waist and shot Luo. Ba bang bang. The other members of the one-eyed pirates also laughed ferociously, and then they also picked up their spears and shot at Luo. Master Levi, will it be okay for our captain to go alone? Bebo asked worriedly. Don't worry, you have to have confidence in your captain's strength, Levi replied with a smile. Okay, now bring the boat over, Levi said to Bebo and others. Although Bebo and the others were confused, they still followed Levi's instructions and moved their ship closer to the one-eyed pirates. Captain, it's great that you're okay. When Bebo saw Luo safe and sound, he rushed over and hugged Luo and started crying. Levi also laughed when he saw the scene in front of him. Although these guys were very weak, their hearts were still very united. The prototype of Luo's pirate group was successfully formed. Hey, you bastards, who knows where the Hawkins pirates are? Luo sat on the bow of the ship, holding Gui Cry in his hand and asked One-Eye and the others who were kneeling on the ground. The members of the one-eyed pirates were almost crying. They were also relatively weak among pirates, otherwise they would not have robbed Luo who had just left the sea. The reason was that he did not expect to encounter him. A tough guy. Sir, we don't know anything, the pirates of the one-eyed pirates cried. You don't know anything? Then you will be useless and throw them all into the sea to feed the fish. Luo's face suddenly darkened. Sir, I remembered that the Hawkins pirates appeared on Riker Island 3 days ago. One-Eye's mind was racing, and he suddenly remembered the secret he overheard in the tavern, so he hurriedly set out. Levi and Ro laughed immediately, now they had found the trace of Hawkins. Chapter 110 Magician Hawkins, please subscribe. The captain is asking for fortune-telling again. Hawkins pirates, their captain Hawkins took out his divination cards early in the morning. Hawkins has been feeling restless recently, as if something big is about to happen. As a magic stick, whenever he faces a choice, he has to do some divination for himself, and he will choose the best one based on the divination result. Excellent results. Facts have proved that the results of his divination for so many years have never disappointed him, and he has become a rising star of North Blue from an ordinary pirate. Several purple cards seemed to be suspended in the air by a strange force, and then Hawkins randomly drew a card. It's actually the Queen. It's such a rare card. Is it about my destiny? Hawkins' expression changed slightly. This was the first time he had drawn this card since he learned divination. After that, more purple cards appeared in the air. These cards were constantly rotating and interspersed in the air, making it difficult for people to see the suits of the cards. 15. Hawkins' expression changed, and his hand drew a card like lightning, and it was that card again. It seems this is my fate. Hawkins sighed. Captain, we are about to arrive at Rick's Island. Bebo held a pointer and a chart in his hand. He looked at the island appearing at the end of his sight and said to Luo. After they got the information about the Hawkins pirates from the One-Eyed Pirates, they commandeered the One-Eyed Pirates ship and headed for Riker Island. Look, there's a pirate ship ahead. Sha-Chi screamed, and then he excitedly stood next to the cannon and prepared to fire. The child was so happy to see the cannon for the first time that he and Pekin shot out half of the cannonballs on the ship. Wait a minute, it seems to be the ship of the Hawkins pirates. Babo was observing with a telescope at the moment. There is a scarecrow's head hanging above the pirate ship opposite, and there is a thick cross behind the head. This is the first time I've seen someone turn his avatar into a pirate flag. As soon as Levi saw the avatar, he knew it was what Hawkins looked like when he turned into a scarecrow. Guys, our captain has been waiting for you for a long time. Came a voice on Hawkins' ship. Hawkins is the same as in the anime. He is a tall and thin man with strange eyebrows and long blonde hair. He wears a shoulder pad on his left shoulder and a North Blue style long sword on his waist. At this moment, he was sitting at the table in front of the deck. Opposite him, there were 2 cups of tea steaming. It seems that you have anticipated our arrival, as expected of Hawkins. Levi couldn't help but admire the scene in front of him. It seems that the divination ability of this guy from Hawkins is as good as Arlong's sister. I just calculated that 2 people would come, but I didn't calculate who they were. Hawkins pushed the 2 cups of tea in front of them. What did you calculate? Levi asked curiously. I calculated that I would board a ship today, but I didn't expect that it would be Master Levi's ship. Hawkins' tone was very calm, and he didn't look like a 19-year-old boy at all. Do you know me? Levi didn't expect that his fame would spread from the Grand Line to the world. As a pirate who aspires to go to the Grand Line, I have always paid attention to the information of the Grand Line. From the first time Levi appeared in the newspaper to the battle with 4 emperors Big Mom, I have not missed the news once. Hawkins smiled, said. It seems that my operation went smoothly. Levi also laughed. He originally thought that after finding Hawkins, he would spend a lot of time talking, and maybe even have a fight with Hawkins. Unexpectedly, Hawkins was so aware of current affairs, which saved Levi a lot of effort. Levi? That super pirate with a bounty of 5 billion Baileys? Shachi and Pei Jin were shocked. Although they were small gangsters in North Blue, they had occasionally heard rumors about Levi from taverns or other places. That was a man who stood at the top of the world. I never expected that such a big man would come to a small place like North Blue. Master Levi, you can invite me on board the ship if you want. Can you let me see what you are capable of? Hawkins looked at Levi in front of him with fighting spirit. He was already a figure in North Blue, but he was an idealistic person. He wanted to see how far he was from the top of the world. This is my subordinate, Trafalgar Law. He is a pirate with a bounty of 200 million belly. I believe he will not let you down. Levi pointed at Luo in front of him and said. What? Our captain is actually a big shot with a bounty of 200 million belly. Pei Jin, Sha Qi and others were all pleasantly surprised. Now Hawkins is just a big pirate with a bounty of 100 million belly. This is already the top level of North Blue. They didn't expect that their captain looks so powerful at such a young age. Trafalgar Law, please advise. Luo stood up with Gui cry. Basil Hawkins. The 2 came to the shore of Rick's Island, which was a small island with few families, so they could fight freely. Room. A spherical space appeared in Luo's hand, and then the spherical space rapidly expanded to surround Hawkins. Is this your devil fruit ability? It's a very strange ability. Hawkins looked at the space and nodded. The appearance of subduing the devil. As Hawkins whispered, his whole body began to change continuously, and he turned into a scarecrow. Very scary. Babo hid behind Shachi, his whole body still trembling. This is the devil fruit ability of our leader. He is a Paramecia demon fruit power straw fruit user. The big man who brought Levi and the others said proudly. The giant scarecrow that Hawkins transformed into held a huge straw knife in his hand, and he waved the knife towards Luo. This grass knife started to turn black, obviously it was attached. The corner of Luo's mouth raised slightly, and the Giwei knife in his hand was swung towards Hawkins. Hawkins' grass knife was split into 2. Although Hawkins knew armament hockey, his hockey was completely different from what Luo had mastered, worth mentioning. Hawkins opened his mouth, and then 5-inch nails flew towards Luo like a rainstorm. When the nails flew over, Luo's figure had disappeared in front of him, and then his head was chopped off by Luo. So strong, worthy of being Lord Levi's subordinate, I, Hawkins, am convinced. Afterwards, Luo's space was removed, and Hawkins stood there intact again. Chapter 111 The Kingdom of Germa, please subscribe. The Kingdom of Germa has always been a semi-dark country in North Blue. Although it is a member of the world government, it is engaged in war trade. They obtain their own interests by participating in wars around the world. The alias of the Germa kingdom is war experts. In the eyes of ordinary people, they are synonymous with the evil army. After all, they only rely on selling war to make a living, which is not normal in any way. Hawkins spreads the knowledge of the kingdom of Germa to Levi and Luop. Although Luo is a native of North Blue, he has been working in the Doflamingo family since he was a child. He is not as detailed as Hawkins, who is a pirate in North Blue. Boss, do you want to take Germa as your subordinate? Hawkins was also shocked by Levi's grandeur. The kingdom of Germa has a glorious record of killing 4 kingdoms. In its heyday, it ruled the entire North Blue. Now Levi wants to conquer King Germa alone. It is really brave. Do you know where Germa is, Hawkins? Levi asked Hawkins. Hawkins has been active in the North Blue all year round, and he may have some knowledge of Germa's whereabouts. The kingdom of Germa is so mysterious that I have never seen it before. Since the boss wants to find them, I will do some divination to find out, Hawkins said in a very sly voice. Is there such an operation? Levi was immediately stunned. So, after some divination, Hawkins said to Levi, Boss, let's go directly to the west. According to the divination, the boss will get what he wants here, Hawkins said with great confidence. Levi had no better way, so they followed Hawkins' method and headed west. The kingdom of Germa is the stronghold Levi is preparing to establish in North Blue. He must not be careless. Even if the kingdom of Germa is difficult to find, he must find them. They are crucial to Levi's future plans. I'm talking to Hawkins, is your method reliable? It's been a month, why haven't you found it yet? Shachi complained. They have been sailing at sea for a month, and until now they have not found any clues about the kingdom of Germa. On the contrary, the food and fresh water on their ship are about to run out. There is no mistake. My divination shows that the probability of encountering the kingdom of Germa in the past few days is as high as 80%. Hawkins looked indifferent, as if everything was as expected. Unlike the talkative Shachi, Hawkins is a boring gourd. Unless someone takes the initiative to talk to them, he will never take the initiative to speak. I seem to have found the ship of the kingdom of Germa, but it seems that the other party is not too friendly. Levi suddenly laughed. Everyone, prepare to fight, Roman shouted. He had been following Levi for so long, and he knew that Levi would never lie. Within a moment, they discovered that a snail appeared in their field of vision. The snail was extremely huge, and there were some stone buildings on the back of the snail. Call out. Accompanied by a soft whistle, shells flew towards them one after another. It was obvious that Germa wanted to destroy them. Hawkins' body suddenly turned into a scarecrow, and then the long sword in his hand also turned into a straw shape. Then the straw wrapped the entire ship, and the cannonballs that hit it fell into the straw and did not explode. Sir Judge, the pirate ship in front seems to belong to the Hawkins pirates. This man is very powerful. A man in a white coat who looked like a scientist said to Judge. Judge wears a metal helmet, has long blonde hair, and is tall. He has a pointed beard with an upward direction and a small beard on his protruding chin. At this moment, he was wearing an orange cape and combat uniform with the Germa 66 logo. His white gloves, black boots, and golden belt made him look more and more like a god of war. Levi watched this scene through observation hockey. If he only looked at the appearance, no one would have thought that the judge in front of him was actually a researcher. Judge laughed. Am I afraid of a little North Blue pirate? Let Reiju, IG, Niji, and Yuji fight. Then 4 small figures began to fly towards the Hawkins pirates, and then 4 little kids wearing 4-color battle uniforms came to the Hawkins pirates ship. Who is Hawkins? Come forward. A kid in a red combat uniform yelled angrily, and then the other 2 kids also started yelling. Now IG, Niji, and Yuji still look like children. No one takes them seriously at all, but Reiju, also. Maybe it's because she is her sister. At this moment, Reiju has medium long hair covering her right eye, a counterclockwise eyebrow on her left eyebrow, big purple eyes, a pink mouth, and a pink battle suit. The costume is paired with a butterfly wing-shaped cape, which makes her figure look very slender. Unlike the 3 frivolous brothers, Reiju looks very elegant at this moment. Where are you little brats? Go and play. Shachi Ali drove these children away. Niji grinned, and then he punched Shachi. With a loud noise, Shachi's body instantly broke through the wooden wall and flew towards the cabin. These kids. Seeing this scene in front of them, everyone felt a chill in their hearts. They did not dare to look down upon the children in front of them in the slightest. It is indeed the most outstanding work of my kingdom of Germa. Judge stood high in the sky and nodded with satisfaction. Room. Luo's operating space immediately enveloped the entire space, and then he slashed at the 3 little brats in front of him with his ghostly cries. The 3 little kids were not afraid at all. They waved their fists or kicked their legs, and they all moved towards Luo at the same time. When Luo swung his knife, all 3 brothers were cut open by Luo. Luo waved his hands repeatedly, and the 3 little brats were cut into dozens of pieces in an instant. How can this be? Reiju's pupils shrank to ultimate. Her brothers were cut into pieces in an instant. Their bodies were harder than swords, and now they were destroyed easily. Damn it, what kind of magic did you use? If you have the ability, let us go. Otherwise, when my father comes, all of you will die. Although the 3 brothers were cut into pieces, they were still chattering. If you can't beat me, call your parents, isn't it embarrassing? Shachi made a face at the 3 little kids. He was punched and he still felt a terrible stomachache. Chapter 112 Sad Judge, please subscribe. Seeing his 3 sons being sliced into pieces by Luo, Judge's eyes suddenly turned blood red. This was his decades of hard work, and now it was completely destroyed by Luo. I'm going to kill you. The tip of the spear in Judge's hand flashed with electric light, and then a high-pressure airflow erupted from his boots, and he swooped down towards Luo like a flying eagle. Although Judge only used his sons as test subjects, he was still very angry when he saw his 3 sons being cut into pieces. When Garo rushed down, Luo's body suddenly disappeared, and Judge's entire body penetrated the Hawkins pirate's ship. No, the bottom of the boat is leaking. After a loud noise, the people of the Hawkins pirates shouted shrilly from the bottom of the ship. They were all trying to plug the holes in the bottom of the ship, but the holes in the bottom of the ship were too big, and the ship was still sinking slowly. "Father, kill him, kill him." Although the three little kids were cut into pieces, they still kept shouting. This is Devil Fruit's ability. Judge saw that his three sliced sons could still speak, and his anger dropped a little. But it is impossible for him to stop now. Once he stops, it will appear that he is afraid of the Hawkins pirates. Dian 930 Magnetic Flying Thorn. Judge's figure moved towards Luo again, and Luo's eyes flashed, and he lay crying on his chest, obviously ready to take action. High-frequency scalpel. Luo's ghost cry was also filled with lightning, and then the tip of Luo's knife collided with the tip of Judge's gun. Smiles appeared on the corners of their mouths at the same time, and then two completely different electric currents burst out instantly. Zitza. Two huge currents were flying around the pirate ship. Wherever the lightning struck, the decks and sails of the ship also began to burn. I seemed to smell something delicious. Just as the two of them were competing, a voice suddenly broke in, and then the figure turned into an afterimage and swallowed up all the thunder and lightning. "The taste is too bad, not delicious," Zeus commented, and then everyone saw clearly that this was a talking cloud. "Why are there talking clouds?" Beppo yelled. "Boy, if there are talking bears, why can't there be talking clouds?" Zeus floated in front of Beppo and said to him, "Sorry." Bebo quickly apologized to Zeus. "So fragile," a group of people complained to Bebo. Looking at the figure of Zeus, Judge felt vaguely familiar, but now that the enemy was right in front of him, he did not go into details. Electromagnetic smashing kick, explosive kick. At this moment, Judge was flying in the air like a bird, and his feet kept kicking towards Luo. Obviously, compared to his shooting skills, his leg skills were obviously better. Luo's arms wrapped around Armament Hockey, who took all of Judge's attacks without taking a step back. "Who are you? There shouldn't be such a strong person on North Blue." Ja Luo shouted in shock. Although he had been training his children in recent years, he had not heard of such a character coming out of North Blue recently. Judge flew high into the sky again, and after that, Luo and the others found that they had been surrounded by 6 Germa's snail warships. On these ships, Germa's soldiers stood in square formations, and the weapons in their hands were all pointed at Hawkins' ship. Levi looked at the soldiers in front of him in amazement. Germa is indeed a country that started with war. The soldiers in front of him are all exactly the same in terms of height, appearance and the posture of holding the gun. They look like a piece of art. Taste. "Release all my children, or I will sink your ship. In that case, you demon fruit powers will fall into the sea, and you will also be very troubled." Gah. Bfai. G laughed, obviously looking like he had a chance to win. "Oh, are you sure you'll take us down?" Just when Judge was proud, a young man's voice rang out. Levi slowly walked up to Judge. Judge was a little surprised. Levi's expression was sharp, and then his conqueror's hockey moved towards the Germa soldiers surrounding them. The Germa soldiers fell to the ground one after another, and no one could stand. This level of conqueror's hockey. A drop of cold sweat ran down Judge's forehead. He was finally sure that the young man in front of him was the legendary one. "Are you Master Levi?" Judge said with a dry voice. He knew that he had hit a brick wall today. Now he also remembered where he had seen this white cloud. This cloud belonged to Charlotte Linlin, one of the 4 emperors, but for some reason it was in Levi's hands. "It's rare that the dignified head of Germa 66, the strange bird judge, also knows me," Levi laughed. Judge hurriedly landed on Hawkins' boat. At this moment, he hurriedly bowed to Levi and said, "I'm sorry, Master Levi, I offended you because I was blind." Judge knows that this is the biggest challenge of the Kingdom of Germa today. If Levi gets angry, I am afraid that the entire Kingdom of Germa will become history. Reiju and his brothers opened their mouths in surprise. Their father was a supreme being in their eyes. They had never seen him like this before. Before the young man could take action, their soldiers all fell to the ground, and their father was now afraid of being like this. This showed that the young man in front of him was a great man. "Luo, let them go." Levi ordered Luo, and then the 3 brothers returned to their original state. "This ship is going to sink. Let's go to your ship and talk," Levi said to Judge. Judge secretly cried out in his heart. He felt deep regret for destroying the ship. Although he felt bitter in his heart, he still bowed his head and smiled at Levi and said, "Mr. Levi, can you come to our Kingdom of Germa? It's an honor, Master Levi, please come here." Then, a plank was stretched out from Germa's ship, and Levi and others followed the plank to the ship of Germa Kingdom. The 3 IG brothers also felt that Levi was a big shot. They were always fearless and they did not dare to make another mistake. They followed Reiju closely towards Germa's ship. Chapter 113. Judge returns to his heart and subdues Reiju. Please subscribe. Under the leadership of Judge, Levi visited Germa's laboratory. The 5-flowered 8-gate weapons here opened Levi's eyes. When the whole world was using flintlock guns, Germa 66 had already developed machine guns and rockets. The world of One Piece is very strange. This is an era that values force but despises technology. In this era, people still use the most primitive sail as power to travel. However, the technology on some islands is horribly advanced. For example, Enel's ancestors, the Moonmen, were able to travel through the universe many years ago. There are also things like Clockwork Island, Machine Island, the blood factor technology of Germa 66, and the pacifists studied by Vegapunk. These are all heaven-defying black technologies. In this world, the strong men at the peak of their strength are invincible, and no weapon can threaten them. However, there are more ordinary people in this world, and the power of these technologies is the key to determining the outcome between ordinary people. Since people in this world don't value technology, Levi decided to let people in this world take a good look at the charm of technology. After all, as the great man said, technology is the primary productive force. Judge, do you know why I came to North Blue? Levi asked Judge very seriously. Seeing Judge shaking his head blankly, Levi said to him, I am planning to establish a base in North Blue, and Germa is the most suitable base. Master Levi, what do you mean? Judge's heart beat a beat faster. He knew that Levi was finally going to reveal his purpose. Everyone get out. Following Judge's order, these researchers filed directly out of the laboratory. Levi and Judge were the only two people left in the entire laboratory. Sir, what do you mean by branch? Judge asked heartily. I want to choose an heir in North Blue, and you are my spokesperson. Levi said every word while looking at the judge in front of him. Judge's heart suddenly became ecstatic, and he took Levi to visit the laboratory constantly, just to let Levi see the power of the Germa kingdom. Judge has always had a dream, which is to unify the entire North Blue world again and become the king of North Blue. For this goal, he did not hesitate to turn all his children into experimental subjects, and his wife died young as a result. Judge's kingdom of Germa is a member of the world government. Because of the history of Kingdom of Germa, all countries are very wary of Kingdom of Germa. They have made a rule that Kingdom of Germa can never go ashore. Therefore, the Kingdom of Germa can only drift on the sea and is called a country, but it has no fixed territory. Judge wants to find a real pirate king to take refuge with, and he wants to use the pirate king's hand to realize his dream of unifying North Blue. But among the current 4 emperors, Whitebeard is not interested in lands outside the New World. Kaido of the Beasts also looks down upon the remote North Blue, and Shanks is not yet stable. Judge originally wanted to join Charlotte Linlin, but after the battle between Levi and Charlotte Linlin, the entire Cake Island was destroyed, and the entire Talent Kingdom was closed for reconstruction, and he had no chance to meet Charlotte Linlin. Are you finally going to form your own force? Judge was so excited that his whole body was shaking. Levi's talent was even better than Shanks. Compared with Levi, Whitebeard, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin are too old. In another 30 years, I am afraid that there will be no rivals for Levi in the entire sea. Sir, I am willing to join, but I still have a question. Why do you want to go to a small place like North Blue? Judge asked. Because my goal is not One Piece. The goal of One Piece is too small. What I want is the whole world. Levi said to Judge with his fingers in the sky. My enemies are not just pirates, marine, world government, and celestial dragons may all be my enemies, Levi said to Judge. Judge felt that his whole body was trembling. This was the most massive plan he had ever heard. Not to mention the difficulty of realizing this plan. I am afraid that once this plan is realized, the Vincent Mock family will become the king of North Blue with this credit. This is a huge crisis and at the same time, it is also a huge opportunity. Judge, when Senmoke pays homage to the master, Judge's huge body bowed to Levi like a jade pillar on a mountain of gold. Don't call me master, call me boss. Levi helped Judge up. Please give me flowers. Boss, don't you know what my mission at North Blue is? Judge immediately got into work mode. Levi said lightly. The mission of the Germa Kingdom is to lurk in the North Blue, vigorously research new weapons and bloodline factors, reserve more weapons, and unify the entire North Blue when the time is right. Yes, boss. Judge shouted loudly. By the way, Judge, how much do you know about the Artificial Devil Fruit Project? Levi suddenly remembered this question when he saw Judge's combat uniform. Artificial Devil Fruit was Vegapunk's conjecture at the time. At that time, he wanted to solve the Demon Fruit Power's fear of the side effects of sea stone and seawater, and truly become an ability user with no weaknesses. But before we could develop it, Vegapunk was caught. The blood factor is one of the conjectures. Zero Judge explained the whole story to Levi. Levi also had some understanding of the world's #1 scientist, who was said to be 500 years ahead of the world. Currently, only Guy is continuing to conduct research on artificial devil fruit. We had a conversation some time ago and his progress is not going well. Judge revealed another big news. You actually have contact with Geisa? Levi was surprised. Judge continued. Except for Vegapunk, the only person we worked with back then was Guy. We were all working on the same project, so we often exchanged ideas. Now Guy is working for Kaido and Doflamingo. That's it. Levi nodded. The judge rolled his eyes and his tone suddenly became lewd. Sir, I see you don't have a maid by your side, so let my little girl Mariejois serve you. My little girl's fighting ability is quite good, and she is also good at serving tea and water, making the bed and folding quilts, covered. Oh my god, this is in full compliance with the marriage requirements. Levi was greatly moved. With Mariejois, he can better control the Germa kingdom, and Judge will be more loyal. Isn't this bad? Levi declined. She is blessed to be able to serve you. I will release her control and make her obey your orders. After saying that, he ran out without giving Levi a chance to refuse. Chapter 114 Mariejois is my child bride, please subscribe. Mariejois, this is Lord Levi, and he will be your husband from now on, Judge said directly to Mariejois. Levi squirted out the old wine in one sip. Looking at the young Mariejois in front of him, Levi felt the judge was giving him a child bride. Although people in the One Piece world develop early, whether because of the transformation of her blood factor or because of good food, Mariejois, who is only 13 or 4 years old, has already grown into a slim figure. Even so, she is still essentially a child. Mariejois met her husband. Mariejoi's pretty face turned pink, but she still ran over and saluted Levi gracefully. Mariejois, do you know what a couple is? Levi teased the little loli in front of him with a smile. I know, just like father and mother, we are people who have to live a lifetime of 4 and 7, Mariejois replied crisply. Let me go, what kind of things did this beast judge teach? Mariejois is still a child. Haha, that idiot Mariejois is getting married. A child's laughter suddenly came from outside the door. Mariejoi's face suddenly turned red as blood. She opened the door angrily, only to find that her brother Yuji burst into laughter and even shed tears. Go to hell, Yuji. Mariejois lifted Yuji up and slammed his head to the floor. Boom. With a loud noise, Yongji was planted on the ground by Mariejois, and the floor made of stone slabs had dense cracks like spider webs. Yongji's head was planted into the ground, but his 2 short legs kept flapping. The corners of Levi's and Judge's eyes twitched fiercely. Mariejois, be reserved, be reserved. Judge coughed and said to Mariejois. Mariejois turned around sharply, clasping her hands behind her back and smiling innocently. Mariejois gained a superhuman body through the transformation of blood factors. Not only is her skin strong and resilient, but she also has strength beyond that of an adult. She also has a special anti-toxic constitution that can absorb toxins. Her nickname is Toxic Powder. The most important thing is that, unlike her brothers, Mariejois still retains feelings, and she behaves elegantly, making her a good wife. Judge, how many people can your clone soldiers produce at one time? Levi looked at the patrolling soldiers around and asked Judge. They were not partners just now, Levi couldn't ask carefully. These soldiers can be trained in batches every 5 years, and 1,000 people can be trained at a time. Now there are a total of 20,000 soldiers in the Kingdom of Germa. Judge said proudly to Levi. 20,000 soldiers? What is this concept? Many small countries do not have so many citizens, and these soldiers have rich combat experience from the beginning of their birth and do not need to be trained at all. Moreover, these soldiers are not afraid of death and will never betray. The overall quality of these soldiers is far better than marine soldiers. Judge, if there is no limit on resources or money, how many soldiers can you produce at most at one time? Levi pondered for a moment and asked, this point is very important, it will affect Levi's overall combat effectiveness in the future. If the resources can keep up, theoretically speaking, Germa can produce an army of soldiers in a year. Judge answered with great confidence. Okay, if you need it, just ask Tetsuro. He will provide you with gold. Starting from this year, you will start producing soldiers. In 5 years at most, I will see 50,000 soldiers. Levi said to him. Promise to complete the task, Judge replied loudly. Because Levi's ship was destroyed by Judge, it would take 3 days to rebuild a new ship, so Levi and Judge conducted careful negotiations on their cooperation during these 3 days. Judge deserves to be a scientific researcher. He has a very good brain. He can understand Levi's meaning and can supplement Levi's plan. He is a rare talent. Now that North Blue's layout has been initially completed, Germa is very strong. If they didn't lack top players and were afraid of the world government, they might be able to sweep the entire North Blue. Mariejois, why did you come to my room again? Levi looked at the slightly raised quilt, and then he pulled out a little loli in pink pajamas from his quilt. Dad said that the couple should sleep together. Mariejois blinked his big eyes, looking so cute. That will happen in the future. You are still young now. Be obedient and go back to sleep. Levi coaxed Mariejois. Really? Then I'll go back. Mariejois happily hugged her pink lace pillow and walked out. Husband, you have to sleep well. Mariejoi's little head stuck in again, and after saying these words, she disappeared. This little girl. Levi shook his head helplessly. This ship is so beautiful. Babo and others looked at the big ship in front of them with stars in their eyes. The whole body of this ship is made of steel, which is very different from the current mainstream wooden sailboats. The silver-white 2-layer hull flashes in the sunlight, looking very beautiful. Boss, this ship is powered by human power and gears. It has 10 rooms in total and can accommodate up to 20 people. Due to time constraints, we can only build this small ship now, Judge said regretfully said. You 3 guys, hurry up and leave. Mariejoi's clear scolding voice came from the distance. Mariejois, this is your thing, why do you let us take it? Yes, Ig, Niji, and Yuji all complained to Mariejois at the same time. When Levi and others came to the side of the ship and took a look, they all laughed. Mariejois is wearing a 3.8-inch pink dress. She is also carrying a small pink bag and a pink lace sun hat. She looks very ladylike. Behind her, each of her 3 brothers was carrying a huge package. Fortunately, her brothers were made of steel, otherwise they would have been crushed long ago. Mariejois, why did you bring so many things? Levi asked curiously. These are all my clothes. I only brought less than half of the clothes here. Just put the rest here. I can wear them when I come back to live at my parents' house. Mariejoi's eyes flashed with this little thing. The stars look very longing for them. Everyone laughed again. After a lot of busy work, Levi and others finally embarked on a new journey again. Chapter 115. Kid robs. Mariejois gets angry. Please subscribe. West Blue, the land of flowers. Hey, Xingjiao, long time no see. You've been on this escort mission for almost half a year. A tall man laughed. Yes, New World has been very uneasy recently. I almost couldn't come back. Xingjiao touched his bald head with lingering fear. Xingjiao is the 10th second-generation pillar of the 8th treasure navy of the Flower Kingdom, and the old Huo in front of him is the 10th second-generation pillar of the Erbao Navy. There are a total of 8 powerful armies in the Kingdom of Flowers. Their numbers are from 1 treasure to 8 treasures. The 2nd treasure navy is mainly responsible for domestic security, while the 8th treasure navy is mainly responsible for external expeditions and escorting the people of the Flower Kingdom. VIPs. Of course, they sometimes turn into pirates and rob merchant ships. Because Xingjiao has conqueror's qualifications, and he is also a big pirate with a bounty of 500 million, because of his outstanding personal strength, he has also become the armed leader of the Flower Country. Green Pepper's original name was Green Pepper of the Cone. His most proud and powerful thing was his sharp cone head. However, more than 20 years ago, when he and Garp had a decisive battle, he lost to Garp's iron fist. Even his 15-pointed cone head was also beaten flat, but even so, Xingjiao is still the well-deserved #1 master in the Kingdom of Flowers. Recently, our spies from the Kingdom of Flowers discovered that a remarkable person has arrived in West Blue. Lao Huo said with a solemn expression. At the same time, he handed a scroll to Xingjiao with solemn eyes. When Xingjiao, who was originally casual, saw the portrait, his expression suddenly became extremely solemn. How did he come to West Blue? If it was really him, something big would happen to West Blue, Xingjiao sighed. Yes, after all, he is a big shot with a bounty of 5 billion Baileys. He is even scarier than the latest 4 emperors' red-haired shanks. Lao Huo also agreed. Ah, noisy. Levi rubbed his nose and muttered, it seems like someone is thinking about me. Brother Levi, put on your coat, be careful you may catch a cold. Mariejois took a navy blue top and put it on Levi, and smoothed out the wrinkles on Levi's clothes very thoughtfully. I don't know how Judge trained Mariejois. Mariejois has now taken on his new role and takes great care of Levi. Levi is a little embarrassed because he has never been taken care of like this before. But after half a year of sailing, Levi was deeply addicted to this kind of life and couldn't extricate himself. It's evil capitalism. Boss, there are 2 brats ahead who want to rob our ship. Babo shouted from the ship. Luo came to the boat and saw 2 kids rowing a small wooden boat parked in front of them. Seeing Luo sticking his head out, a kid immediately shouted arrogantly. You are the boat. Captain? Your ship has been commandeered by Uncle Kid. The child who shouted looked at the ship with greedy eyes. He had short red hedgehog hair and wore a dagger on his chest. The other one was wearing a mask and his face could not be seen clearly. He also held 2 sickle-shaped weapons in his hands. Boy, didn't you hear what I said? Lead your people to surrender immediately. I promise not to kill you. Kid's expression was very arrogant. This was the first time for Luo to see such a kid. He couldn't help but think of when he was this age. He had already started killing people in Doflamingo's family at this age. Then don't blame us. Seeing that the guy opposite was so ignorant of current affairs, Kid couldn't help but sneer, so he opened his hand towards Luo Wuji. Luo felt that the stopped ship was moving forward again. When the ship wall and Kid's hand came together, a surprising scene appeared. The metal at the side of the ship began to deform, and with a heart-wrenching sound, a metal ladder was formed. Kid and the masked man walked up through the ladder. What sound? When Kid transformed the ship, he made a huge noise, which alerted Levi, so Levi and Mariejois also came out curiously. Are you demon fruit power? Luo asked curiously. Yes, I am a person with the Paramecia magnet fruit ability, so be afraid, Kid said with a proud expression. This was Kid's first time going to sea. After he got the devil fruit, he originally wanted to rob a marine warship. He heard that marine warships are made of steel. In this way, he could not only get a ship, but also you can also get bounties. They wandered on the sea for half a month without seeing a single warship. Just when he was about to go back, he saw the ship driven by Luo. The streamlined hull of this ship fascinated him. There is a feeling that this will be his pirate ship in the future. Kid waited for a long time, but found that no one showed a scared expression, and everyone looked at him with extremely strange expressions. When Kid saw that there was no movement from everyone, he felt that these people were looking down on him, so he smiled ferociously and said, Kira, kill them. The masked warrior behind him came out, and the 2 sickle-shaped weapons began to slowly rotate in his hands, and a murderous aura emanated from his body. You were the ones who destroyed my ship? Mariejois asked sullenly. Judge said this was his dowry to Levi, so Mariejois was very protective of the ship. Now seeing the messy deck twisted by 360 Kid, Mariejois instantly became angry. You really talk a lot, kill her first, Kid pointed at Mariejois impatiently. Reiju's eyes were full of anger, and then she took out a Ken-like transformer from her bag, and then a little beauty wearing a pink combat uniform appeared. At the same time, Kira's knife also rotated to the point that others could not see clearly. He jumped up high and cut the sickle in his hand along Reiju. If you dare to damage my ship, I will kill you. Reiju's fist hit Kira's knife. Boom! Kira was smashed onto the deck by Reiju in an instant, and a huge dent appeared on the deck. Fortunately, the ship was made of steel. If it had been a wooden sailboat, the deck would have been broken by now. Let you destroy my ship, let you destroy my ship. Reiju kept kicking Kira, and with loud noises, the big hole made by Kira kept getting bigger. Only then did everyone see Reiju's fighting power. It's so scary. Stay away from this woman in the future. Beibo, Shachi and Zanwuja secretly swore in their hearts that if they angered this woman one day, they would die without knowing how. Chapter 116 Reiju vs. Kid. Please subscribe. Kid looked at the scene in front of him in shock, and he was also frightened. In his impression, Kira was an extremely powerful warrior. Under his side, even 10 big men couldn't get close to him, but now he was easily defeated by a little girl, and this little girl looked young, not big. I saw that I hit a brick wall today. Kid had a bad feeling in his heart. Stop, let him go. Kid yelled loudly at Reiju, but Reiju was so angry that she didn't pay attention to Kid's words. I asked you to stop. Kid waved his hand towards Reiju, and the metal behind him began to tremble, and then a huge iron plate roared towards Reiju. Reiju returned to Levi with a slight jump. The steel plate that originally flew towards her hit the guardrail with a loud noise. Damn it! You still dare to destroy my ship? Reiju saw Kid destroying her boat in front of her, and she immediately went crazy. The wings behind her began to spread out, and then some colorful powder flew towards Kid. Purple sparks appeared in Kid's hand, and then the rivets behind him flew out one by one. The huge steel plate began to twist, and a metal arm that was enlarged several times appeared on his left hand. Very cool. Beibo and others had stars in their eyes. Every man has a mecha dream in his heart. Now Kid's cool operation immediately attracted their attention. As Kid clenched his fist, the huge metal arm also clenched his fist, and the entire fist looked like a sledgehammer made of steel. Boom! Kid's mechanical giant arm hit Reiju, and Reiju kept jumping around the giant arm like a butterfly. Every time Reiju punched, a large piece of steel fell off Kid's mechanical giant arm. Came down, but every time the steel fell, the piece of steel went towards Kid's giant arm again, and as they fought, the destroyed treasury was also attached to Kid's giant arm. Luo frowned slightly as he looked at the mess in front of him. When he was about to step forward to stop this scene, he was stopped by Levi. Let these two little guys have a fight. You need to treat the samurai first. Just a moment, don't let him bleed to death. Luo used the ability of Op Fruit to pull out the samurai. He used Op Fruit to examine the samurai in all directions and then sighed. This guy was seriously injured and needed surgery immediately. Kira. When Kid saw Luo taking Kira away, he couldn't help but screamed miserably, and then an inexplicable momentum spread to the whole ship, and Beibo and others fainted without saying a word. Conqueror's Hockey. Luo and Hawkins were instantly shocked. The people of Conqueror's Hockey were known as unique beings. They didn't expect that the child in front of them actually had such qualifications. If this child did not die, his future would be absolutely immeasurable. Go to hell, woman! Kid roared wildly, and then his huge arm suddenly broke away from his palm and headed towards Reiju. Reiju was currently so shocked by Kid's Conqueror's Hockey that she couldn't move. She could only watch the hammer flying towards her. Just when she was feeling desperate, she suddenly felt like she had entered a warm embrace, and a strong breath of male hormones came over her. Brother Levi. Reiju looked at Levi, who suddenly appeared next to her in surprise, and a feeling of emotion suddenly emerged in her heart. How can this be? Kid looked at what was happening in front of him in shock. His giant steel arm was held by the man in front of him with one hand. No matter how hard he moved, the giant steel arm would not move at all. That's it, duh. Levi whispered, and then a more powerful Conqueror's Hockey directly overwhelmed Kid's Conqueror's Hockey. How could this happen? Kid felt his head become dizzy, and then he fainted. My paralyzing toxin worked. Reiju stuck out his tongue at Levi, then he came to Kid's side and kicked him. Let you attack girls. Let you destroy my ship. Kid's body was stomped hard by Reiju. Okay, Reiju, our ship still needs them to be repaired, don't kill them. Levi said to Reiju. I got it, brother Levi. Reiju replied sweetly to Levi, and then she took Levi's arm and walked towards the cabin. Tie this guy up first, remember to keep an eye on him, Levi ordered to Hawkins. Kid, are you okay? Kid vaguely heard someone calling him. When he opened his eyes, he found Kira looking at him with concern. It's great that you're okay, Kira. Kid breathed a sigh of relief. Kira was his brother who depended on him for life. If Kira died, he didn't know what he would do. Are you awake? While they were talking, a cold voice came. Hawkins looked at them calmly and said, I did a divination for you. The probability of you escaping is 0, and the probability of us becoming colleagues is 89%, and the probability of us becoming enemies is 11%. Are you kidding me? How could my majestic kid become someone else's subordinate? I am the man who wants to dominate the new world. Kid sneered at Hawkins' statement. Among the overlords of the New World, Whitebeard, 100 Beasts, Qian Zhao, Kaido, and Big Mom were all once members of the Hawkins Pirates. Now the newly appointed Four Emperors Shanks is a crew member of the Pirate King Roger. New World's overlord. You can't avoid becoming someone else's crew, so how confident can you be to say this? Hawkins still said calmly. Kidsy is a kid who just went to sea. He yearns for the Four Emperors who are all powerful. He only knows that the Four Emperors are awesome, but he doesn't expect that the Four Emperors have also been people's subordinates. For a while. Kid's worldview collapsed. Hawkins looked at Kid in front of him and said, Kid, I advise you not to use Devil Fruit's ability. Now I can clearly sense every move you make. After that, Hawkins kept telling something in their ears. Although Kid wanted to escape, under Hawkins' eyes, he could not use his Devil Fruit. He could only listen helplessly to Hawkins' preaching. Chapter 117 Lightning Strikes the 8 Treasure Navy. Please subscribe. Boss, good morning. The next morning, when Levi came out for air, he saw Kid and Kira greeting Levi respectfully. There were some repair tools beside them. At this moment, most of the damaged deck had been used by Kid. Ability healed most of it. Seeing Levi watching around, Kid bowed deeply to Levi again and said, It was our fault yesterday. We have deeply realized our mistakes. I'm sorry. Okay, now that you know your mistake, you can be an intern on my ship from now on, Levi said, looking at the two lost boys in front of him. Levi didn't believe that Kid and Kira gave in so easily. Levi wanted to see what kind of medicine these two guys were selling in the bottles. Kid, what are you going to do? Kira asked softly. Although Kira is older than Kid, Kid has always made the decision. He is only responsible for fighting. These guys are very powerful. I have to find a way to find a powerful force for them. We can escape while they are both hurt. Kid laughed as he spoke. Kira did not agree with Kid. Kid was used to him and didn't take it seriously. It was midnight, and the entire world 733 was silent. Kid quietly used his Devil Fruit ability to change the direction of the ship. This was the result of the humiliation he suffered on the ship Jonin. In the past few days, Kid finally gained the trust of Levi and others through his own performance, and he also understood the situation of the entire ship. 7, 7, 8, 8. He relied on his memory to make the ship run forward at full power. Thanks to the unique operation method of this big ship, Kid's plan was executed smoothly. The Kingdom of Flowers, where the Babao Navy is stationed. Because the Babao Navy has the strongest combat power, the Babao Navy is responsible for protecting Wano Kuni. At this time, Lao Kai, the deputy leader of the Babao Navy and the pillar of the 10th third generation, was patrolling the territory of the Kingdom of Flowers by boat. Suddenly, he found a silver-white two-masted ship passing through the station of the Babao Navy like an arrow. Enemy attack! Lao Kai immediately shouted, with hockey in his voice, and the entire Babao Navy was immediately alerted. The Babao Navy is indeed the most powerful army in the Kingdom of Flowers. After Lao Kai just shouted out, all the battleships started to move. In less than a moment, the Babao Navy took the ship surrounded. Like the marine configuration, the Babao Navy also has 1,000 people per ship, with a total of 8,000 people. This is the full strength of the Babao Navy. I want to see who disturbed my sleep in the middle of the night. After Qingzhao learned that Levi had come to West Blue, he felt uneasy every day, because the country of Flowers is almost the most powerful country in West Blue, and the Babao Navy is the most elite force of Wano Kuni. Levi wants to find in trouble with West Blue. I'm afraid the Babao Navy will have to confront Levi. Chief, the other party didn't respond. Lao Kai and Qingzhao reported. That's the enemy, shoot me. Qingzhao let out a loud roar, and then 8 battleships fired their guns. The artillery fire made bursts of shrill whistles and flew towards the ship. Levi had already woken up when Lao Kai yelled, and he was about to get up to see what was going on, but Reiju was wrapped around him like an octopus, preventing him from moving. What's the noise? It's so noisy. At this moment, Reiju opened one eye and asked Levi drowsily. We seem to have broken into the territory of the Kingdom of Flowers, and now the army of the Kingdom of Flowers is shelling us. Levi said to Reiju with a relaxed look. Ah, what should we do? Let's go and fight, Reiju said in a daze. Levi rubbed her lil head and said, You go to sleep first. I will deal with it, nothing will happen. Okay, then you have to come back early. Reiju gave Levi a big hug, and then she hugged the quilt and fell asleep again. After Levi covered Reiju with the quilt, he walked to the deck. Reiju always likes to kick the quilt when she sleeps. At this moment, cannonballs were flying around the ship, and Luo and Hawkins were constantly picking off the cannonballs that were about to land on the ship. Sha-Chi, Pei Jin and others were firing continuously, while Beibo and Kid Kira were hiding in the corner. Boss, the artillery fire on the other side is too dense, what should I do? Luo saw Levi coming out, and he asked Levi. Zeus, go deal with them. Levi snapped his fingers, and then a white cloud appeared in front of Levi. Levi, there are so many people on the other side, it will take a lot of effort for me. You have to treat me to 5 meals. No, 10 thundercloud meals are enough. Zeus said to Levi with saliva. Okay, it's up to you, you lazy guy. Levi nodded repeatedly. That's it. Zeus happily flew towards the opposite ship. When he flew high into the sky, Zeus's body began to turn dark. Unknowingly, Zeus's body had enveloped the 8 treasures navy fighting below. "Chief, what do you think that is?" I don't know who suddenly looked up, and then everyone in the Babao navy looked up. This. Everyone raised their heads brazenly, and a very strange scene appeared in the sky at this time. The sky where they were was covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder, but elsewhere it was still a clear sky. Click. A bolt of silver-white lightning pierced the void and struck the Babao navy's ship. A cannon on the ship exploded immediately. This thunder and lightning seemed to be a signal, and then endless thunder and lightning rain poured down on the Babao navy. With screams, the entire Babao navy's big ship was on fire. The entire Babao navy was wailing, and all their cannons were destroyed. "Levi, don't forget what you promised me." Zeus hummed all the way and flew to Levi. After he got Levi's affirmation again, he ran away without knowing where he was. Babo looked at Zeus with fear in his eyes. He once had a quarrel with this cloud. After seeing the terrifying power of Zeus, he no longer dared to talk back to Zeus. Okay, what a scary strong man. At this moment, Kid and Kira were also in deep shock. For the first time, they had some understanding of Levi's power. Levi just called a white cloud and destroyed West Blue's most powerful 8 treasure navy. Such a strong man is really terrifying. Chapter 118. Duel with Green Pepper. Please subscribe. How so? Lao Kai got up from the ground in disgrace. He found that the entire Babao navy was wailing. Under the wave of thunder just now, the entire Babao navy had been completely destroyed. Although the soldiers were not, they died, but they also lost their combat effectiveness. "Chief, who is on the boat opposite?" Lao Kai asked in shock. He has also been to the Grand Line several times with Qingzhou, and he has never seen such a strong person in the Grand Line. "Who on earth are you?" A bare-chested man, holding a naginata in hand and wearing fluffy pants, flew high into the sky, and there was a 13 tattoo on his waist. "I am Lao Kai, the pillar of the 10th third generation of the Babao navy. I would like to invite the gentleman opposite to meet you." Lao Kai shouted loudly. "Hawkins, go meet him for a while," Levi said to Hawkins. "Okay, boss." Hawking held up his long sword and walked towards Lao Kai. "You are not qualified to meet our boss." After saying that, several spikes appeared in Hawkins' hand and he threw them towards Lao Kai. At the same time, he held a long sword and headed towards Lao Kai. "Master Levi, I am Qingzhou, please meet me." A fat man about 5 or 6 meters tall also flew into the sky. There was a 12 label on his eyebrow, indicating his identity. "How did you know I was here, Qingzhou?" Levi suddenly appeared in front of Qingzhou. Qingzhou said to Levi, "We knew you were coming to West Blue as soon as you showed up in West Blue, but we didn't know your whereabouts. I knew you were coming after magician Hawkins showed up." "I see." Levi nodded. He originally thought that his whereabouts were secret enough, but he didn't expect that he still didn't hide it from the huge national machinery of the flower country. "I wonder why you are here?" Qingzhou inquired curiously. "I want the Kingdom of Flowers to be my subordinate." Levi directly told Qingzhou his purpose. "Are you also going to recruit forces? It's not difficult to recruit the Flower Kingdom. You and I have a fight and let me see how powerful the big pirate with a bounty of 5 billion Baileys is." Qingzhou hugged Levi, and at the same time an inexplicable aura spread out from his body. Levi immediately laughed. Qingzhou is indeed the owner of Conqueror's Hockey. When he was young, this old man had the ambition to compete with Garp, but he didn't expect that he would still be as good as Garp when he was old. On Qingzhou's body, there are white air currents that are constantly spreading outward. The air currents are blowing his beard and constantly floating, and he looks like he has an extraordinary momentum. The 8 punches of the flower country? Levi felt the fluctuations coming from Qingzhou's body carefully. Bachuquan is the national art of the flower country. It hits the opponent and simultaneously releases a diffuse shockwave with powerful attack power. Ordinary shields cannot withstand this attack. In addition, Ba Chongchen also has strong defensive power. Even swords and guns cannot harm the user of Ba Chongfen. Levi has only heard of this boxing technique, but he has not seen the strong people from the flower country in the Grand Line and New World. He only saw the 8 punches today. 8 Chong Fist, Wu Tu. Qingzhou's feet made a wave, and then his huge body flew into the sky, and then he hit Levi like a meteorite. Qingzhou's terrifying weight coupled with the force of her fall made this blow the most powerful. Qingzhou is indeed the strongest person in the Kingdom of Flowers. The 8 punches he can perform in his hands are much stronger than those in Lao Kai's hands. Excitement flashed in Levi's eyes. He had also fought with Garp. Garp's iron fist relied on terrifying strength to overwhelm people, while Qingzhou's boxing technique was full of skill. Although Qingzhou's boxing technique does not pose a threat to Levi, Levi can still borrow many useful boxing principles from Qingzhou's boxing technique. Green Pepper's head hit Levi very quickly, and the strong wind caused by the impact rustled Levi's sleeves. The earthy Green Pepper's body hit Levi like a meteorite. "Well done." Levi let out a loud shout, and then he punched Qingzhou on the head. Boom. The moment Levi and Qingzhou's heads hit each other, shock waves spread out in all directions. The fire on the Babao Navy ship was extinguished by this endless shock wave. Boom. The fist in Levi's hand exerted force again, and Qingzhou's huge body was sent flying by Levi. As expected of Master Levi, you have such a strong physique. Qingjiao landed on the big ship of the Babao Navy, caressing her smooth head and praised Levi. The secret of Ba Chong Quan is that there is no cone dragon or cone nail. Qingjiao's huge body spun quickly like a top with its toes as the axis. After that, his whole body was hardened with armor. He poured all his strength into the top of his head, and then his body rotated towards Levi. This is Qingjiao's most powerful move. When he is at his peak, this move can even break through the ice of the frozen continent. Levi's left fist is also wrapped in armament hockey. This is the highest level of armament hockey. In this state, even Hawkeye's slashes can do nothing to him. Levi's fist hit Qingjiao's head hard. At this moment, the big ship was broken into two parts with Qingjiao and Levi as the center. The air in all directions was also squeezed out, and huge waves were blown up by the wind of their fists and dispersed in all directions like tsunamis. Qingjiao felt a sharp pain on the top of his head, but he didn't want to lose just like that, so he gritted his teeth and resisted Levi's fist. Under the gaze of everyone, Qingjiao's originally bald and round head was squeezed by the gravity of the iron fist and a long cone stretched out to reach the sky. His cone head, which was originally dented, was knocked out again by Levi's punch. The two separated at the touch of a button, each standing on the damaged half of the ship. Qingjiao's face was very exciting, with all kinds of expressions of disbelief and surprise mixed on his face. He stretched out his extremely thick arms and touched the pointed cone-shaped head, and then laughed devilishly. "My conical head is back again." He laughed and shed tears at the same time. All the gray beard that stood up on end drooped down, and he once again returned to his original appearance of a kindly old man. Grandpa's cone head was knocked out again. Lao Kai, who was fighting with Hawkins, also laughed. After that, Qingjiao suddenly knelt on the ground and said to Levi, "Master Levi, from today onwards, the Kingdom of Flowers will work under your command." Chapter 119 West Blue, please order the full version. "My sons, let's go back and have a banquet." With Qingjiao's roar, the atmosphere in the Babao Navy suddenly became heated. The figure that was originally lying on the boat groaning suddenly became lively. On the sea, 8 damaged ships were connected together. The soldiers of the Babao Navy sang and danced with Levi and others, drinking bowls of fine wine under the moonlight. Under piles of bonfires, everyone singing loudly. Levi sat at a table with Luo, Hawkins, Qingjiao, and Abu. They were drinking from wine bowls, and the atmosphere was very lively. Babo, Kid, and others were singing and dancing with the Babao Navy people. "Qingjiao, I want to build a base in West Blue. My goal is the Kingdom of Flowers. You have no problem here, right?" Levi touched Qingjiao with the wine bowl. After Qingjiao drank up the wine in the bowl with 587, he stroked his cone head again and laughed. "Boss Levi, you don't know something. In the Kingdom of Flowers, our 8 treasure navy is responsible for fighting all underworld, strength negotiation, and the king is responsible for dealing with the participating countries, so we mean what we say. There won't be any trouble in the future, right?" Levi frowned slightly. He didn't want the internal conflicts in the Kingdom of Flowers to affect his plan. This was something he couldn't allow. "Boss, do you know why the Babao Navy has existed for nearly 100 years, but the throne of the Kingdom of Flowers has changed several times? That's because we control all the military power of the Kingdom of Flowers." Qingjiao laughed. Levi also laughed. In this case, he was right, so Levi started drinking with them. This meal lasted from evening to noon of the next day, and then from noon to evening of the next day. Because Qingjiao is a very generous person, Levi stayed here for a week. He asked Bibo and others to learn the 8-punch boxing during this period. Although the time was short, it would eventually help them improve their strength. After a week, Levi said goodbye to Qingjiao. He had been delayed here for too long, and now he still had to complete the layout of Shitai in East Blue. "Boss, as long as you give me the summons, no matter where you are in the world, my 8 treasure navy will definitely follow you," Qingjiao promised Levi. "Don't worry, you will be useful one day." Afterwards, Levi and others sailed toward the Upside-Down Mountain. West Blue is an extremely chaotic sea area. The biggest difference between it and other sea areas is that the biggest evil forces in other places are pirates, while in West Blue they're gangs of all sizes. The entire West Blue is headed by the 5 major gangs, and 300 to 400 gangs, large and small, control the entire West Blue. If you see a group of pirates wearing suits collectively on the Grand Line, half of them are pirates born in the West Blue. The spokesperson Levi is looking for at this moment is Capone Bede. He is a pirate in the same class as Luffy, the Pirate King. This man is a born tycoon. He was extremely cruel when he was young. He likes to chop off the heads of creatures and then watch the way they died in pain. He was a complete pervert. This guy not only likes to chop off the heads of living things, but he also likes to eliminate the heads of organizations. This guy often assassinates other mafia leaders, and he only kills people, not taking gold and silver. The scary thing is that this guy was the first person to prepare to assassinate the 4 emperors. While others were still fighting with the pirate group under the 4 emperors, this guy had already penetrated into the 4 emperors' Charlotte Linlin. And he has gained the trust of the enemy. When Luffy arrived at Cake Island, he had already formulated an extremely meticulous assassination plan. As a super pirate, Levi's every move has attracted the attention of interested people. When he first arrived in West Blue, The mafia bosses in West Blue already knew of his arrival. On a luxurious ship in West Blue, a huge conference hall was filled with smoke. Although it was daytime, the heavy curtains blocked all light. Song could see the flames of cigar after cigar. Everyone, the big pirate with a bounty of 5 billion Baileys has come to our territory. We must fully realize the interests of our mafia, a sinister voice sounded. Along with this sound, a burst of laughter from 8 gates also came. This scene looked very much like 100 ghosts walking at night. Looks like I have another nice collection. As these shadows stood up, there was a Levi's bounty order on the table, but now there were several more knives stuck on it. Boss, there are several ships of unknown origin following us, Luo reported to Levi. Levi's observation hockey was released, and he found that these were people dressed neatly in black suits and sunglasses. Although their strength was not very good, they were indeed very image conscious in the world. Boss, the big pirate Levi is on that ship, are you sure? The information has been completely confirmed, do it. Levi immediately laughed. It seemed that the mafiosi like West Blue were really courageous, and they actually seemed to have some thoughts about his head. Kid, I'm going to teach you a move today, watch it, Levi said to Kid. Several people on the boat looked at Levi with fiery eyes. Is this mysterious captain finally going to take action? Levi took out a coin from his body. He aimed at the pirate ship on the left for a moment and then flicked the coin out. The coin disappeared in Levi's hand, and at the same time, a ball of great fireballs suddenly exploded from the middle of the pirate ship on the left. The pirate ship was beaten into 2 pieces and slowly sank to the bottom of the sea. So exaggerated. Kid and others were so shocked by Levi's blow that their eyes bulged out of their sockets. I just like the way you have never seen the world, and Levi feels secretly happy. Come on, Kid. Try it. Levi took out a coin and gestured to 4.0 Kid. Kid also did Levi's pose just now. He flicked the coin out, and the coin turned into a white light and flew out. Luo and the others craned their necks and waited for a long time, but nothing happened to the ship on the right. A small gust of wind blew across the deck, making the scene extremely embarrassing. Levi said to Kid, you compress all the magnetic force onto the coin. Wait until the coin is compressed to the limit, then aim at the target and pop it out. Kid did as Levi said again. A white light flashed, the bow of the opposite battleship was destroyed, and a thick smoke came out. Kid flicked 3 more coins. The first 2 flew to nowhere, and the last one sank the pirate ship on the right. The first assassination attempt by the mafia ended in failure. Chapter 120 Assassination and Negotiation, please subscribe. This move is so powerful. Kid excitedly flicked the coins around. His magnet fruit always attached a large amount of metal to his body, and then smashed it out. Today, Levi's move opened up a new world for Kid. He didn't expect that the magnet fruit could be used in this way. Not only did it consume less money, but it was much more powerful than what he had developed himself. He excitedly played with the coins. Who wants to attack us? Luo's expression was full of shock and anger. Ever since he came to Sahai from the Grand Line, he has never encountered such an obvious assassination. The murderer's malicious intention was obvious, and he came for Levi. It's the mafia. Hawken's eyes were full of calmness, as if nothing surprised him. The mafia actually dared to assassinate brother Levi. He deserves to be killed. Reiju gritted his silver teeth in anger. Find someone to find out where the mafia's headquarters is. Since it is a large organization, it should have a dedicated territory, Levi ordered. After that, Li Shiwei's ship once again embarked on the West Blue journey. 3 days later, a shocking news spread throughout West Blue. As one of the 5 major families that control the mafia, the Cook family, their headquarters, Rand Island, was reduced to nothingness by a thunderbolt from the sky. After that, the remaining mafia families entered an emergency meeting. The people sitting at the round table subconsciously glanced at the empty seats, and a touch of fear filled their hearts at the same time. Levi's method of revenge frightened them all. They had never seen such a violent method. He wiped out an island with just a disagreement. No one could bear this. Everyone, what do you think about the destruction of the Cook family? A hoarse voice sounded in the darkness. What do you think? I want a quarter of the Cook family's territory. Our family also wants a quarter. In the blink of an eye, the Cook family's territory was divided at this meeting. Since Levi can't attack by force, let's assassinate him. No one can fall in the face of our mafia. Levi must die. A middle-aged man with narrow eyes wearing a top hat said with a smile. Oh, do you have any candidates? Asked a fat man. I have a new leader under my command, Capone Beeg. This guy is very good at assassinations. I believe everyone present has experienced his skills, right? The middle-aged man with narrow eyes said with a smile. Mentioning Capone Beeg, the people present looked a little unnatural. Capone Beeg was a newcomer, but it took him less than a year to go from an ordinary gang member to a person second only to the leader. But everyone is very convinced of Capone, because his path to Jinshi was based on the corpses of the other 4 major families. Capone was extremely meticulous in his work. Every time he assassinated, he was able to escape successfully, even the other 4 major families. The family teamed up to assassinate him but did not take his life. Say your terms. A voice came from the darkness. If Capone can assassinate Levi, then our family will become the leader of the family in the next 5 years. That kind of man laughed. Okay. Agreed. Agree. As a result, The proposal to assassinate Levi was passed. Capone Beg took a small boat and rowed towards Levi's big boat. Sir Levi, I am Capone Beg, the negotiator of the Mafia. I am here today with great sincerity, and I ask you to be kind and let us go, Capone Beg said politely. At this time, Capone Beg is already 30 years old, which is the golden age of a man. At this moment, Capone Beg's eyes are full of passion and ambition. Although he is short in stature, no one dares to underestimate him as long as he sees his eyes, to see him. Since you want my head, what do you want to do to calm my anger? Levi asked the little man in front of him with interest. Capone Beg was very familiar with Levi's opposite, and at the same time, he was thinking about how to convince the man in front of him. For ordinary people, what they pursue is nothing more than beauty, power, and status. But when he saw the young man in front of him, he was in trouble. Levi was younger than him, but he was already standing here, one of the top beings in the world. When it comes to beauties, Boa Hancock, who is said to be the most beautiful woman in the world, is his girlfriend, and the pink-haired beauty next to Levi is also a rare beauty. In terms of wealth, Levi made his fortune by robbing the supreme rich. In terms of power, as long as Levi makes a call, countless desperados will immediately join Levi's command. In terms of status, Levi is higher than the entire mafia combined. Capone lit a cigar and said with a smile, Master Levi, don't you want to come to West Blue for business? We still have some means in West Blue. I wonder if it would be convenient for you to tell me your purpose? As long as you speak, we will definitely help you do it properly, and we will also give you half of the property. 11. I said the purpose of coming to West Blue is to find you 120. Do you believe it? Capone Beg. Levi looked at the pudgy man in front of him and smiled. Sir, you are joking. According to your status, as long as you raise your arms, there will immediately be countless people who are 100 times better than me who want to join you. Capone Beg's heart skipped a beat, and then he said with a smile. Capone Beg, you are an ambitious man, and you don't want to negotiate with me today, but you want to kill me, and your leverage is the 1,000 kilograms of dynamite in your hand, right? Levi's words it almost made Capone Beg jump. Sir, are you kidding me? How is this possible? Capone Beg wiped the sweat from his face and smiled dryly at Levi. Stop quibbling, you're already sweating. Mariejois pointed at Capone Beg's face and said. Levi looked at Capone Beg and said, Capone, you don't have to quibble, all your thoughts are invisible to my observation hockey. Not only do I know that you brought 1,000 kilograms of explosive rock, but I also know that you are Mariejois, Devil Fruit Fortress fruit capable user. Capone Beg's hand that was wiping sweat suddenly stopped. The fortified fruit has always been his trump card. Anyone who has seen his devil fruit is dead. Since Levi knows his trump card, it means that Ji Wei and not deceiving him. Chapter 121 Capone Beg surrenders, asking for self-determination, seeking full order. Luo and Hawkins also looked at Capone Beg with surprise. They didn't expect that the humble little man in front of them would be so crazy. Have you never thought about how to escape if you fail in the assassination? Luo asked curiously. According to the divination results, the probability of this person escaping is 0%. Hawkins pulled out a purple card. But now we are in the sea, how could he escape under our noses? Mariejois asked curiously. Of course, you can get away with it like this. Capone Beg suddenly raised his head, and threw 1,000 kilograms of explosive rock out, and then his body turned into a masonry structure. Room. The moment he threw the explosive, Luo opened the operating space and moved the explosive rock to the infinite sea. After hearing Levi say that this guy had 1,000 kilograms of dynamite rock on his body, Luo had been on guard against Capone Beg's sudden jump, and it turned out that his guess was indeed correct. With this loud noise, a tsunami of nearly 10 meters suddenly surged out of the entire sea surface. The waves came towards the big boat Levi and others were sitting on, pushing the boat continuously towards the coast. I would never depend on the mercy of others, Capone Beg laughed. Castle full-size Big Boss. A huge castle suddenly appeared on the boat Levi was on. Because his weight was too great, the boat was pressed and sank without any reaction. In the blink of an eye, the big boat was crushed by him, underwater. It's amazing. He is indeed the person I like. Levi stood in the air and laughed, and Mariejois wrapped around him like an octopus. What happened? Kid stepped on a huge iron plate and rose into the sky. Behind the iron plate stood his brother Kira. Room. Luo used his fruit ability again, and Babo and others were transferred out by him in an instant. At this moment, the ship was completely submerged under the water by Capone Beg's Big Boss. Levi, I admit that you are very strong, but now in this state, my defense is invincible. What can you do to me? Capone Beg laughed. This was his trump card. As long as he summoned his castle fruit completely, his defense would be unbreakable. This was written in the Devil Fruit illustrated book. Is it really invincible? Levi smiled, and then he punched the castle transformed by Capone Beg. The castle that Capone Beg transformed into was extremely high, and even the seawater barely covered his waist. At this moment, Levi's fist came. Give up. No need to do useless work. Capone Beg laughed and said, then he clenched his fists, preparing to hit Levi after Levi smashed him. What a big pirate with a bounty of 5 billion, it's nothing more than that. Capone Beg said contemptuously. As Levi punched him, a crisp sound came, and his indestructible body suddenly began to crack. Castle fruit, nothing more than that. As the strength of Levi's fist condensed, 10 densely packed spiderweb-like cracks appeared on Dadoku's body. Boom! As Levi's words fell, bricks and stones flew all over the sea. Capone Beeg flew out with bleeding from his mouth and nose. His big boss was knocked away by Levi's punch, and he also lost consciousness. Room, baton. Luo's 2 fingers tilted upward, and as his fingers tilted upward, he lifted the boat that had sunk to the bottom of the water. With waves flying around, the ship hit the sea again. It's too exaggerated. Babo and others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. This ship was made of pure steel. Its weight was immeasurable, and now it was actually lifted up by Luo. This guy is actually so strong. Kid's eyes were also full of amazement. Kid's magnet fruit could also salvage such a big ship from the bottom of the sea. But the physical strength required was completely unimaginable to Kid. This is a monster too. Kid looked at the young man in front of him, and his fighting spirit became even higher. Luo was only a few years older than him and already had such power. Kid was a man with conqueror's haki, and he would definitely surpass Luo. Luo, don't let him die. Levi said to Luo. Giwei in Luo's hand carefully scanned Capone Bega's body. The scan results surprised him. More than half of Capone Bega's bones had been broken. It was a miracle that he was still alive. Really, boss, you can't be gentler. Luo complained, and then he put his hand into Kaji's body and tinkered with it. Where am I? Capone Beeg was awakened by a sharp pain, and then he realized that his whole body was covered with bandages. Look, I just said you won't succeed, right? Levi said helplessly to Capone Beeg. I asked for it. Capone Beeg said with a wry smile. Now we can have a good talk. I want to create a force in West Blue, and you are the spokesperson I choose. Levi said to Capone Beeg. Only then did Capone Beeg believe that Levi had not lied to him, because now Levi can easily crush him to death, and there is no need for Levi to lie to 10 dead people. What can I do for you? Capone Beeg, Zhao Zhao, was not dazzled by the immediate benefits, but asked extremely calmly. It's very simple. What you have to do is to unify all the mafia forces in West Blue for my use. Levi took it over and took a bite of the apple and said. Levi's information began to emerge in Capone Bega's head. When he came to assassinate Levi, he had already investigated all Levi's information. Levi's actions seemed to be recruiting forces for himself, but Capone Beeg felt Levi's plan is very big, because according to the current situation, the forces recruited by Levi seem to be a hidden flag, and there is no need for him now. Suddenly, a terrible guess appeared in Capone Bega's mind, and he looked at Levi with horror. Capone Beeg has met the boss. With Capone Bega's salute, this marked the official completion of Levi's plan. Chapter 122. The gangs are destroyed and the bandits are reborn. Please order for your own order. Please order for full order. Why hasn't Capone Beeg arrived yet? An anxious voice sounded. After hearing the news that Capone Beeg successfully assassinated Levi, everyone was surprised, and their informants on the shore reported that Garp Beeg turned into a huge fortress, and then Levi's ship was crushed to the bottom of the sea. If we had known Levi was so easy to kill, wouldn't we have destroyed his ship? Came a sour voice. Ha ha ha, old cook, it's useless to say this now. According to the agreement, starting from next year, the entire West Blue will be ruled by our family. The middle-aged man with narrow eyes laughed. Crunch, there was a sound of teeth grinding, and a bright light made everyone's eyes narrow slightly. Everyone took a closer look and saw that it was Capone Beeg. He had a cigar in his mouth and a large box in his hand. Is that the head of the great pirate Levi? Everyone looked at the box in front of them with hot eyes. Levi, the great pirate with a bounty of 5 billion belly, fell into their hands today. I am afraid that within a month, their name of West Blue Mafia will be resounding throughout the world. Capone Beeg, since you successfully assassinated the great pirate Levi, you are the next leader of the Mafia. Now present Levi's head, 640. Capone Beeg looked at his boss. At this moment, there was a light flashing in this guy's eyes. He was very familiar with this light. This thing was called ambition. Very good, is everyone here? The corners of Capone Bega's mouth raised slightly. What are you talking about? His boss was startled. I said, after everyone is here, I won't have to look for you one by one. I will deal with you all at once. Capone Beeg laughed and let go of the box in his hand. The box fell to the ground with a crisp sound, and then a pistol appeared in Ka Bega's hand. Ba bang bang. After a crisp sound of pistols, except for his boss, everyone else was shot dead by him. Capone Beeg, do you know what you are doing? His boss asked in shock. Of course I know, I want to be the boss, Capone Beeg laughed. Why are you doing this? Do you know the consequences of what you did today? I know. All 4 families fell apart, and the entire West Blue fell into war again, Capone Beeg said. Now that you know, why are you still doing this? You are already the second in command of the Mafia. In 5 years, you will be the real leader of the Mafia, his boss yelled. 5 years? It's too long. I don't want to wait. The most important thing is that I changed a boss for myself. My current boss is Levi. Capone Beeg then pulled the trigger. There was a flash of horror in his boss's eyes, which showed that he understood something, but a bullet had passed between his eyebrows. You did a good job, Yin. After his boss fell, Levi's voice suddenly came. You taught me well. Capone Beeg said modestly. Do you need me to send troops to you? Levi asked. Capone Beeg shook his head and said, I have also had my own group of subordinates over the years, and I can solve the situation in West Blue. Okay, since the Mafia is destroyed today, the Mafia no longer exists, and your gang will be called a gangster from now on. Levi said to Capone Beeg with a smile. I obey your orders, boss. After that, the entire West Blue fell into a month-long war, BFBI, with assassinations and gun battles happening all the time in the streets and alleys of West Blue. People die every day, and places fall into chaos every day. Even the Marine who maintains order is overwhelmed. This guy Levi must have done something good again. After the battle, he started roaring again in the office. Originally, he thought that Levi was seriously injured after the battle with Big Mom. There was no news about Levi for half a year on the sea. Sengoku breathed a sigh of relief and started the world recruitment plan. After the Battle of Marineford, Marine's soldiers were severely lacking. In order to quickly make up for Marine's strength, Sengoku transferred Marine, who maintained order in the Inland Sea, to the Grand Line. Now that West Blue is in chaos, the entire West Blue recruitment plan can only be postponed indefinitely. The Shichibukai plan is now being implemented smoothly, and all the Shichibukai quotas have been filled. They are Mahawk, Boa Hancock, Tyrant Bear, Crocodile, Gecko Moria, Jinbei, and Heavenly Yaksha Doflamingo. Go and give the Shichibukai an order to help Marine maintain order in West Blue, Sengoku said to the messenger. Etc. Crane Vice Admiral stopped Sengoku. She said to Sengoku seriously, these things are not good for these pirates. They will not listen to you. What you do will only damage Marine's authority. Sengoku hammered his desk bitterly and said, now the technology for Marines to freely enter and exit the Combelt has matured, and every battleship is being modified. When these new batches of battleships come out, our Marines will be able to freely travel around the world. Great voyage. Crane Vice Admiral also laughed. Now the sea train research technology of the 7 water capitals is about to enter the trial stage. Once this technology matures, we can connect all the islands together through the sea train. That way our Marines' mobility will be greatly increased. This is the best news recently. Once these 2 technologies are completed, Marine will be able to save 50,000 troops. Now the new 4 Emperors Shanks has also gone to East Blue. I was afraid that Garp would have conflicts with him, so I transferred him to New World to perform tasks. Sengoku sighed. What are Shanks doing in East Blue? Crane Vice Admiral asked in astonishment. Shanks is from West Blue, so logically he should go to West Blue. I don't know, I just hope he doesn't cause any trouble, Sengoku sighed. Different from Sengoku's gloomy look, Levi has been enjoying Emperor-like treatment in West Blue these days. Because his ship was knocked into the sea by Capone Beeg, he cannot leave West Blue for the time being, so he spends every day admiring West Blue everywhere. Blue scenery, appreciating West Blue's delicious food, makes you feel as happy as a fairy. Chapter 123. Sea Train in Pluton. Please customize, please order in full. Woo, woo, with the sound of a whistle, a train slowly drove into the port of the 7th capital of water. The sea train research was successful. At this moment, people from all over the 7 capitals of water came to watch this spectacle. It has been 14 years since Tom, the fishman, stated the idea of the sea train to the judge in the court of Eni's lobby. Now this return train has finally been successfully researched. Countless people living in the 7 water capitals came to watch this strange scene. Most of the residents of the 7 water capitals, no one knows the significance of the success of the sea train research better than them. The 7 capitals of water will receive a tsunami, big tsunami, every year. At this time every year, people on the island will run to higher places to avoid the tsunami. However, every year after the tsunami, the water level will increase a lot. Due to the poor trade on the Grand Line, there are few connections between the islands. Major shipbuilding companies are constantly fighting for customers, and the residents of the islands are falling into the shadow of slow death. The train returning to Hong Kong at the moment is called the Smoking Tom. The biggest feature of this train is that it can float on the sea and is not affected by the water gods. From then on, there was a connection between the 7 water capitals, and they could communicate with each other. It can be said that the sea train was the link between the 7 water capitals and their surrounding relationships. It's amazing. Master Tom. When the sea train was parked at the port, a tall fishman and 2 young men stepped off. They were disciples of the fishman. They returned to the small island where they lived amidst the cheers of everyone. Unexpectedly, there were many people wearing black suits on the originally remote island. A man with short purple hair, a dark nose bridge and conspicuous black eye circles was surrounded by these men in black. When he saw Tom and others coming back, he said to Tom and others, "My name is Spandam. I am the current commander of CP5. I am here. I want to ask Mr. Tom for something. This thing is very dangerous. If someone with ulterior motives gets it, it will cause serious harm to the people." At this moment, Spandam looked at them condescendingly, his eyes full of contempt, and he also showed a compassionate face, looking like a clown. "I don't know what you are talking about. How can a poor fishman like me have that kind of thing? Please take it back. Tom rejected him flatly. I want Pluton's design, so stop pretending to be confused. Spandam grabbed Tom's collar and whispered into his ear. I don't have what you said, please take it back. Tom remained unmoved. Old guy, you have 3 days to go to trial in Eni's lobby. Believe it or not, you won't be able to get out of Eni's lobby alive. Spandam stared at the fishman Tom and laughed. I don't have what you want, please take it back. Tom still said the same thing. What a bunch of rude guys, Fram commented looking at the backs of this group of people. When Tom waited for them to go far away, he pulled the 2 disciples into the hut, and then locked all the doors and windows. The 2 of them looked at Tom busy in confusion. Fishman Tom placed a thick stack of design drawings in front of the 2 of them, and then he pushed the design drawings to Ace Bagu. The 2 of them looked through the drawings. As disciples of the world's best shipbuilder, their shipbuilding skills were quite advanced, and they could understand what the drawings in front of them meant. The further back they looked, the heavier their breathing became. This design is really amazing. I'm afraid there is no such powerful ship now, the 2 people exclaimed. This is the highest masterpiece of our 7 water capitals. It is a super battleship in the history of shipbuilding. It can destroy an island with 1 shot. Later, because it was too powerful, Pluton only built 1 and was boycotted by all the shipbuilders. Tom was quite impressed, said proudly. Now the government people have targeted me. It is too dangerous for me to hold them. In order to prevent it from falling into the hands of some ambitious people, I hope you can keep it, Tom said seriously. I will take good care of him, don't worry, Ace Bagu solemnly promised. Why don't we try to build such a powerful thing? Just build 2 or 3 parts, Fram suggested with great interest. Please give me flowers. No, the government is definitely watching us now. If we build it, we will definitely be discovered by the government, and then we will be in danger. Ace Bagu flatly rejected him. Mr. Tom, I feel that the judicial trial in 3 days will not be fair to you. You should find Levi to avoid the limelight, Ace said with worry. Ace Bagu, a man should face his life with a loud voice. I won't leave. I want to see what this Spandam can do to me. Fishman Tom's laughter was full of generosity. Ace Bagu, Flam, you are my proudest students, but I hope you will leave Tom's studio from tomorrow. Tom looked at them lovingly and said. Point 0. You want to drive us away? Ace Bagu's expression was full of disbelief. He has followed Tom since he was a child. Today, Tom suddenly asked them to leave. How could they accept it? Tom said solemnly. Ace Bagu, Fram, you are the most talented young people I have ever seen in shipbuilding. Over the years, you have learned all my skills. The young eagle will eventually spread its wings. It's time for you to go to Water 7 and carve out your own space, instead of following an old man in the garbage dump. I don't want to enter the city. The people in the city are a bunch of ungrateful guys. As the world's #1 shipbuilder, they have pushed you to this place where garbage is everywhere and sewage flows. Who is the sea train we are developing now for? For us? Not for the 7 water capitals, Fram said angrily. My home is here, not the 7 capitals of water. What's more, I don't believe that a sea train can save the 7 capitals of water. The 7 capitals of water are already rotten and rotten. Mew loudly vented his emotions, and then he rushed out of the door. Ace Bagu, what Fram said makes sense, but I hope you can enter the city and let the 7 water capitals prosper again, and restore it to the place full of love and prosperity in my memory. Tom seems to be there again back in those days. His expression at this moment was full of energy. Chapter 124. Bombardment of the Judiciary Ship, please order the full version. Teacher Tom, no luck, we have been robbed here. Early in the morning, Tom and Ace Bagu heard Fram scream. What happened? Asked Tom, coming out of the house. The boats I built and the boats I practiced on in my spare time were all stolen, Fram cried. What? Tom was shocked. In the entire 7 water capitals, the most valuable thing is probably the boat. What's more, all Fram used to build his boat were scraps from this garbage island. The boat he built was basically useless. How could anyone steal these broken boats if they only last a few years? Teacher, I have an ominous premonition. Ace Bagu walked to Tom's side and said, he thought again of Spandam's gloomy expression when he left. I'm afraid this matter, 630, has something to do with him. And today is the day that Tom goes to Eni's lobby to stand trial, so he can't help but think about it. Since it has happened, let's forget about it and let's go to Eni's lobby now, Tom said with a smile. Teacher Tom is always so optimistic. Mr. Levi, you have to come quickly. Ace Bagu held the phone bug in his hand tightly. When the sea train was just developed, he had already called Levi. Ace Bagu is different from Flam. He always thinks in the longer term. He always remembers what Levi said when he said goodbye to Tom, and he always deeply agrees with it. But now that Tom insists on going to Eni's lobby, he can't go against Tom's wishes. Although Tom lives in a place full of garbage, he plays a decisive role in Water 7, whether it is his achievements in building ships for Pirate King Roger or his achievements in completing the construction of sea trains on his own. Today was the day when he went to Eni's lobby. Those who were angry with him because of the Great Pirate Era and wanted to sentence him to death, or those who were grateful to him for the invention of the sea train and wanted him to be acquitted, all came to the port to see him off. The entire port of the 7 water capitals became crowded with people, and the usually deserted dock became extremely lively today. Be sure to come back safely, old Tom. I'll treat you to dinner when you come back. A shout came from the crowd. It's Lao Pingfeng. I've been craving for your cooking for a long time. When I come back, I will definitely go to your place to eat. Tom also laughed. No one knows the name of Panfeng, but because he calls himself Panfun, everyone in the 7th water capital calls him that. If Tom is the number 1 shipbuilder in the 7th capital of water, then Panfeng is the number 1 shipbuilder in the 7th capital of water. A chef. This old guy doesn't own a restaurant, and he also picks his customers. Being able to eat his food depends on fate. If you ask me, going to Eni's lobby is just a formality, you don't even have to go. An old woman laughed. Hey, Grandma Kokoluo, watch your words. We are the law enforcement officers of Eni's lobby. If you say such blasphemous words in front of us, it will trouble us very much. Next to Tom, a bearded man in marine clothes said to Grandma Kokoro that he was also a resident of the 7 water capitals and had no ill intentions towards Tom. I believe the law enforcement officers at Eni's lobby will not pursue a drunk old lady. Granny Kokoluo smiled, and then she took the wine bottle and poured it into her mouth. Kokora, drinking less at such an old age is not good for your health, and you have to set an example to your granddaughter Kamane. Tom advised the old woman who was drinking. Grandma Kokoluo was also a member of Tom's company when she was young. They had a good relationship, so they often made harmless jokes. Look, what is that? Some sharp-eyed residents saw several sails appearing on the sea. Afterwards, more than 30 ships slowly sailed towards the 7 capitals of water. Water 7 has been dilapidated for too long. Marine also has its own shipyard. They usually only take orders from pirates. The entire Water 7 is very deserted. Today, so many ships suddenly appeared, leaving them stunned for a while. There. Aren't these the ships I lost? Fram murmured to himself, and then anger burst out in his eyes. These hateful guys are so arrogant. Not only did they steal his ship, but they dared to be so arrogant on him, dangling in front of this master. No, everyone, run away, Tom shouted loudly. In front of them, the cannons on the ships fired at the parked Eni's lobby law enforcement ship. Boom. As the shells fell one after another, the entire judicial ship suddenly burst into flames, and even the dock was affected. Countless passers-by were crying and shouting and became a mess. Don't panic, everyone. I am Spandam, the commander of CP5. As long as I am here, no one will be hurt. The ships left after firing their cannons, and Spandam appeared in the harbor. First arrest the accomplices of the pirate group just now. Spandam pointed at Flam and said. I saw it yesterday. Those boats were all built by you, and your name was engraved on them, Spandam said proudly. Sir, those ships were lost last night, it was not our fault, Ace Bagu said to Spandam. That's a coincidence. These ships were lost last night. What a coincidence that we are shelling the judicial ships today, Spandam sneered. It's you who stole my ship. In anger, Fram broke free from the restraints of the marine soldiers and grabbed a shotgun from their hands. He used all his strength to use the gun to hit Spandam in the face. Fram, no, 4.6 Tom stopped him, but everything happened too fast. When he finished speaking, he saw Fram being pushed to the ground again, and Spandam covered his face, and drops of blood flowed down his face. He left it in his hand covering his face. This man intended to attack the officers and was also taken away. Now that the judicial ship has been destroyed, let's take the train and leave, Spandam said. Tom, I said, we will meet again, how about it? Spandam said proudly to Tom. Spandam's face is now wrapped with gauze, but his expression is still full of pride. As long as you hand over the Pluton design to me, I will let you and your apprentice go. How about that? I didn't expect that you would actually attack your colleagues. How scary it is. Tom has now realized that all this is Spandam's trick. Chapter 125. Seriously injured Fram. Please customize, please order in full. No, it was the evil pirates who attacked the judicial ship and killed my colleagues. At this moment, I am sending you to Eni's lobby for trial with a very heavy heart. How could I kill my colleagues? Spandam was hypocritical. Said. You still have an hour, think carefully before answering me. Spandam patted Tom on the shoulder and walked out of the room, leaving Tom alone in the room contemplating. Mr. Tom, I'm here to save you. As soon as Spandam left, a large hole was cut on the roof of the car, and then a person jumped in. Eric, why is it you? Tom said in surprise. Eric is a wood thrower from the 7 capitals of water. When Tom built the sea train, half of the sleepers under the track were also made by Eric. However, Tom did not expect that this skinny wood thrower would have such skills. I am a mercenary. I made a deal with Mr. Levi. Now you can come with me. Eric had changed back to his original clothes at this moment. 15, he had to say. After these 2 years of dedicated practice, his strength has improved tremendously. 1. Seeing Mr. Tom's hesitation, Eric said anxiously, Mr. Tom, this is my last chance to save you and your disciples. I won't have a chance until the ship arrives at Eni's lobby. There are only CP5 agents on this train. Eric has carefully investigated their strength. These guys are not too strong. He can handle them all by himself. Tom said firmly. No, I can't leave now. I just want a fair trial. This is my fate. Thank you Mr. Levi for my kindness. I won't leave. Eric saw that Tom was resolute, so he stopped trying to persuade him. After all, he was just using money to do things, and he would have saved a lot of effort if Tom didn't leave. Afterwards, Eric took the phone bug and reported the situation to Levi. Sure enough, Tom won't leave. This man is really stubborn, Levi said with a headache. But this is what makes Teacher Tom cute, isn't it? Ace Baku said mischievously. At this moment, Levi has arrived at Tom's studio, and now there is only Ace Baku in the entire studio. Ace Baku, has the submarine I asked you to built? Levi asked. Of course. How could I not do my best to do what you asked, Mr. Levi? Let's take a look at my work. Ace Baku leads Levi and others into the basement. What a beautiful boat. At this moment, Luo's eyes were filled with admiration. This was a boat that fit his heart best, and it was even more perfect than he thought. Okay, let's go to Eni's lobby and make a scene. So they drove the submarine towards Eni's lobby. Tom, how are you thinking? Spandam came in again and asked. The blood on his face had stopped at this moment, and he put on a mask to cover the wound. I really don't know what Pluton's design drawings are. Tom remained unmoved. Didn't you just rely on your merits in making the sea train? To tell you the truth, I said hello to the judge. Your merits in making the sea train offset the sin of making the pirate ship for the Pirate King. But you instigated the pirates. The crime of bombarding the judicial ship cannot be escaped. It is a capital crime, Spandam said to Tom. And your apprentice is not only your accomplice, but he also attacks government officials. This is also a serious crime. The most unforgivable thing is that this guy actually wants to escape. Spandam sneered. Then he pointed his finger out the window. When Tom followed Spandam's finger, his pupils shrank immediately. Beasts, what are you doing? Tom stood up immediately. Outside the window, two agents stepped on their feet and photographed Fram in the air. Where are the design drawings for Pluton? Spandam asked. I don't know what the design drawings are. Tom closed his eyes in pain. Wrong answer. With Spandam's gesture, the two agents took Fram and ran towards the sea train. No, Fram. Tom's eyes were splitting. He watched helplessly as the two agents threw Fram's body onto the track of the sea train. After that, with blood splattering everywhere, Fram's body was like he was thrown down like a rag, and when he was about to fall into the sea, a huge frog jumped up and caught him. Yokozuna. Tom couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief when he saw that Yokozuna had caught Fram, but when he saw that his body was completely broken, he closed his eyes in pain. Fram would definitely not be able to survive with such an injury. Beast, you beast. Tom stood up suddenly and then punched Spandam. Iron Body. With Fram's lesson in breaking free, they used Iron Body to stand in front of Spandam this time. But when Tom's punch passed, his two men immediately vomited blood and even Spandam was beaten. Tom punched the wall. This old guy is so strong. Spandam struggled to leave the carriage where Tom was. This was the only thought in his mind. Wait, that's Yokozuna. Less than a moment after the train left the sea, Ace Baku and others also arrived on a submarine. This is Fram. Ace Baku hesitated, and then he heard Yokozuna's cry, and he was sure that this was Fram. He was really miserable at this moment. His hands and feet had long since disappeared, and his back and face could not be seen clearly. If he hadn't been breathing weakly, Levi would have thought he was a dead person. Luo, save people quickly. Levi ordered Luo. Afterwards, Luo did a full body examination on Fram, and then Luo said to Levi. Boss, this man can't be saved. This man now has a weak reaction in addition to his brain and lungs. He is already equal to a dead man. Fram, my brother, Ace Baku suddenly started crying. Ace Baku and Flam grew up together. Although they are not real brothers, they are better than real brothers. Seeing Fram's miserable state, Levi's heart suddenly moved. He finally knew how Fram became a reformed person. Luo, we must keep his brain and this bit of skin active. We can turn him into a modified human. Levi said to Luo.